This is Kate Baconsale. You're listening to Baconsale.
On June 22nd, 2015, we began an experiment and we questioned a youthful millennial about what things he was completely naive about. Now that millennials are considered olds, we are studying someone from Gen Z, and we have brought back our most controversial guest ever. Welcome to Baconsale.
Yeah! Yay! Welcome to Baconsale.
Who are you?
I'm Joel.
I'm Kent.
And I'm Zach.
We'd like to thank you for listening to our last show, the show that Kent is still beaming about right now.
Honestly, thank you for indulging me.
Nolan show.
Do you think you'll listen?
Chris?
Yeah. Don't call him Chris. It's Christopher or Topher. You know.
Topher, please. No. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Is Topher Grace's full name
Yeah, it's
Christopher?
Yeah. Topher's
my
a pretty
gosh.
common shortened version. Yeah.
I never put that together till right now.
Are you mad right now?
No, I'm kind of impressed.
Chris Grace isn't as memorable.
Topher Grace is much more.
Yeah.
You think that's his full name? Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Well, let's save it for that show.
Save for our Topher Grace show.
We had some pretty great comments, including from Rachel Gray Crump, who honestly pretty much gives a great comment every week. I think perhaps I'm not a smart person. I don't love Inception or Interstellar. Too much thinky think for my brain. However, I also want to watch Nolan's Batman series with my girls now. Thanks to this episode. It is time.
It's always time.
It's time to watch Batman.
Isn't it always time?
You gotta enjoy it. Maybe.
Maybe not.
No,
the
that's
third
not
one.
a maybe. That's a for sure.
Here's a shocker from Chris Anderson. She's not seen a single Nolan film.
Okay.
What?
I have a real problem with this.
Yeah. Chris.
Because
Patrons.
Chris had us watch 22?
The Ghibli movies?
Yes.
A lot of them.
A lot of Studio Ghibli movies.
You said it with the accent.
And she hasn't seen any Christopher Nolan movies. This is a challenge, Chris. Make it happen.
I did. I called her. I said, let's make it happen. And she said, okay. Or she said K.
Good.
So
Oh, if someone says K, they don't mean it.
it was a GIF. It said K. So
No.
I'm assuming she meant, okay, I'll do it.
It means nothing.
Yeah.
Can I request a show based on Terry Finley's comment on Twitter?
Let's hear it.
I could listen to a whole episode of you guys saying Michael Caine.
Michael
Oh, wait,
Caine.
I just did.
So wait,
Michael
we're
Caine.
sorry and you're welcome.
Can we do a Michael Caine episode?
Michael
We
Caine.
could. The guy has, like, you look at his early work versus his later work.
Yeah.
It's completely different worlds. Like, he used to be the young, hip, starring romantic lead.
Like a thug in many movies.
Yeah, kind of a British thug. And now he's like the old gentleman. He has been for, I don't know how long.
Michael Caine.
Michael Caine.
But that's not what we're talking about today. What are we talking about today, Zach?
We are going to basics, back to basics when it comes to movies. We're going to talk about 10 essential movies in film.
Well, first of all, let's introduce our guest.
Should we? Because I feel like he's just like ready to go.
He is, I was going to say, he's our guest. He's here. He's a patron. You know him. You love him. Matt Smoodger, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi.
Okay, that was the most underwhelming hi based on who you are as a person.
Okay, look, there were some listeners who were like, okay, no, I can't handle another Matt Smott show. And so I was like, okay, for you guys, maybe I'll tone it back. But I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
You're worth 60 points in the Family Feud
I
on
know,
Baconsale.
and I really appreciate
Now,
it.
to give some history on you, Joel, do you have the episode where Matt's joined
It
us
was
before?
episode 223, Snapback to Reality, September 23rd, 2019. So almost a year ago.
Yeah.
Like almost exactly a year ago.
So
So we brought you on that show. We talked about reality competition-based TV shows.
Yeah.
And we talked about some very well-known ones like Big Brother, Survivor, and some really strange ones where you try out to be a Santa Claus, basically.
Yes.
And who knew that show would cause so much contention, but you, as a person, are ready to debate about anything.
Yeah, I think that what the listener doesn't know is that I'm actually, at the time, I just graduated high school, and I was a nationally ranked speech and debater. I was the best in the state of Utah and 30th in the entire country, and so I take what I do very seriously.
Very
And
serious.
so, and at that time, you gave us a list of how many shows did we have
It
to
was
watch?
21.
Something like that. Yeah,
it
and
was
so
21.
we watched the pilot episode or pilot episode and follow-up episode for 21 shows, and Matt's had us try them out and then give our thoughts on it. So Kent and I decided to turn the tables a little bit this time.
And it's disgusting, listener. It
Well,
wasn't
and not
worth
only
it.
that, but, as I talked about in the intro, we've talked to a millennial, and this was, 4 or 5 years ago.
That was season 1. we
And
did
it
the
was,
Millennial Show.
it was a very early episode. Just we were incredulous he hadn't seen certain movies. And now that millennial is considered old. That was 5 years ago. And so now that we have you, basically as a guinea pig, like Joel and I have been thinking about a certain list, which we'll talk about. But it's going to be so interesting to get your take, considering now you skew even younger. So, Joel, how do we come up with this list?
We came up with this list back in June of 2019, unrelated to the show. Sorry, Matt. This wasn't anything
It's all
related
good.
to you.
It's all good.
But this a coworker came up to us. Hey, Eric, what's up? If you're listening,
Yeah.
He came up to me and said, "Hey, I'm trying to get know films better, and I know you guys are big into movies. What are some films that you just should watch, like must sees?" And I was like, "Oh, you have no idea what you've just asked me. I'm going to dedicate way too much time at this at work to figure this out."
Well, already you have your own list of 4 phases of horror films.
Yes, that's
and
from
that's what
children,
this
yes.
is spawned from. And now he was asking for what movies should I even watch?
Yeah, and so he came and I said, okay. So I started piling up something. I said, you know what? I need some wrong opinions. So I'm going to go to Kent. And
Guess what I said? I actually gave the whole Christopher Nolan list, which is
Did
crazy.
I say wrong? I meant contrary. But no, I always think it's a good idea whenever you get in your own headspace of like, this is what I think, to hand it over to someone else and like, does this make sense?
Right.
So I sent it to Kent and he said, you have way too many 80s comedies on here. Take them all off.
Yeah,
and so then
all John Hughes.
We started compiling this list together of 10 essential movies. Now, these are not the highest grossing movies. These are not all Best Picture winners. These are not even, would we say, the best movies of
Right.
all time, nor our favorites of all time.
We were trying to go for like a mix of genres.
Yes, these are building blocks of a film education. If you're going to discuss film in the big leagues, we'll say, these are films that you just need to have under your belt as kind of a foundation.
And we know there are more. We know there are genres missing here. So let us know on social media what we have missed, possibly, maybe what you consider.
And it was
but
not-
this is only 10
Yeah,
of what we
and
can
that's what I want to
consider
clarify.
40, 50 movies to
Yeah,
start
Kent and I
with.
were like building it all out. We're like, no, we have to whittle it down. We have to
Yeah.
whittle it down. We're like, we have to move this one out because we already have enough of this genre. So what we came up with are these 10.
Well, and what I love about these 10 is these are not like film snobby best film of all times 10. These are extremely approachable movies.
Yes.
We hope so. We hope that they are approachable to anyone who watches them. That was our goal. So the 10 we came up with are, in chronological order, The Wizard of Oz from 1939, Psycho from 1960, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly from 1966, Jaws from 1975, Rocky 1976, Star Wars 1977, Raiders of the Lost Ark 1981, Ghostbusters 1984, Jurassic Park 1993, and The Matrix 1999.
Now,
on.
Mats.
You got to watch the 1960 Psycho?
Don't you dare!
I had to watch the
No.
Vince. I watched the Vince Vaughn
No, there
one.
was no other version of Psycho. How dare you, sir?
Anyway, go on.
I like how we're tied up now. There's 2 youngs and 2 olds on the show right now.
Thank you for bringing down our average age, you two.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. So when we gave you this list, Mats, how many of these 10 movies had you seen?
I'd only seen one of them.
Out of that list of all these big,
Yes.
big picture movies,
Yes.
some of the biggest movies ever.
Yeah.
Seen one. Which one had you seen?
I've seen The Wizard of Oz.
So the closest one to when you were born.
Yes, how'd you know?
Vance, I actually had a revelation as I was doing this research, and today I dropped the truth bomb on these guys. You were not born before any of these movies were made.
Yes, that is true.
So The Matrix being 1999, you were still not born.
Yes.
Insane.
That is
Yeah.
mind-blowing to me. I feel so old.
Well, no, truthfully, we're talking about, last week with Christopher Nolan. What's the one?
Tenet?
No.
Inception.
Inception, yeah.
I don't know how I got it right.
thought- that's the thing. As a little kid, I thought Inception was like a 90s movie.
Oh,
like, no
interesting.
joke. I always thought Inception was like a really
I love that
old
I love
movie.
that he said as a little
But,
kid,
yeah.
because to me Inception's like just this barely just happened movie.
Yeah.
A modern classic.
Yeah.
10 years old.
Like, it's weird. Yeah, exactly. So
but
it's just weird.
I want to bring that back though, because I was floored when I realized you were not born when any of these movies were made, and then I realized. Then Zach said,
I was only alive for 2 of them.
"Yeah," and I was like, "Oh," and then I looked at it, I'm like, "Actually, I was only alive for 4 of these."
But considering where we are in the generational mid game between Gen X and Millennial, I feel like we need to know these references for pop
Wait,
culture knowledge.
You guys weren't alive for Star Wars?
No.
Oh,
Take it easy. Take it
Wait.
easy right
no,
now.
no.
Sorry, no,
So,
because my dad was 72, so I thought that. Okay,
No,
never mind.
yeah,
no.
Okay, you guys are younger
So-
than my. Oh yeah, you guys are my mom's age. I forgot. Okay.
I want to say, yeah, we are, but,
Listener, it's okay. I have 3 moms, so they can pick and choose.
there we go.
I'm confused. But I think for Joel, our generation, and maybe even Zach, I think knowing these pop culture references is very important to surviving in junior high and high school and in just friendships. I'm not kidding. And so I want to know from a young person's perspective if you didn't miss anything by not knowing these references.
Well, and one of the things that gets under my skin is that regarding to film is when people see a movie and walk out and saying that is the best movie ever of all time and it deserves to be number 1 on all the lists ever. And I'm like, it just barely came out. Right. It hasn't stood the test of time yet. I feel like time is the greatest judge of what movies are great and which movies are forgotten. Because you think about we watch those Best Picture winners, and there are years when a movie won that no one ever talks about anymore, but like the runner-up is the one, like Citizen Kane, for example. I'm not saying it's not on our list, but it's one of those movies. How Green Was My Valley won that year. No one talks about it, but Citizen Kane has become this staple of like great movie making. So I feel like A Test of Time is the best judge. I hoped by creating this list, we were picking movies that were not just personal favorites, but that have stood the test of time.
So if we want to give
Ranging
you,
from the 30s to
Matt,
the 90s.
or any listener that hasn't seen these movies, the education, the necessary film education of movies that have stood the test of time.
And you now have watched all these, Matt. In what space of time are we talking here? Like, were you binge watching, or did you space these out? Space out nicely?
I did them all in one sitting. Kent only had to ask me one time where I was.
About every day. Where are you at?
You watched them all in one sitting?
No, I didn't know.
Oh, God.
No, he structured it pretty well.
You say that's not the way to watch these movies.
It was so funny. So Ken would ask me, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I've watched 2 movies." And then like a week would pass, or 10 days would pass. Be like, "Matt, where are you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So I'm at 3 movies. And so by the time we scheduled this show, I was like, "Yeah, Ken, we might even be up to 4 movies by the time we start. Like by the time we record."
Yeah, I never knew I could get anxiety, and now I do.
Yeah, and so it was good. But that's the thing. I watched the most I jumbled in one sitting was I'd watched 3 movies within the last 24 hours.
Okay.
And so, but that's the most.
But the problem, I was going to say, the problem whenever you binge stuff is it starts to wear on you. It doesn't matter what it is. If you start binge watching, eventually you're like, oh
Gets
my
lost in the
goodness.
shuffle.
I promise you, it did not wear out on me because the one I started with was the absolute worst movie I've ever watched.
Hold on.
Whoa, hold that thought.
Hold on. We'll get there. Because let's just go in chronological order then. And let's start with
The Wizard of Oz, which is the movie that you had seen.
Yeah.
Did you rewatch it again for this?
No, I did not.
Okay, that's fine.
Just because, so this honestly, it's hard because I don't really have. I haven't seen this since I was like a very little kid.
Well, let me give us an
You mean like 2 years ago?
For anyone who hasn't seen
Yeah,
this,
of course.
which could be Dorothy Gale is swept away from a farm in Kansas to a magical land of Oz in a tornado and embarks on a quest with her new friends to see the wizard who can help her return home to Kansas and help her friends as well. Now,
This is widely regarded as one of the best films of all time.
in fact, back in 2008, I put it on when I was doing a blog, I put it on my blog post as the movie with the most influence, meaning the greatest movie of all time because of its staying power. So, Matt, when did you see it? Did you see it when you were a kid?
So yeah, I watched it when I was a kid. I think that has more so to do with the fact that I actually lived in Kansas for a year. So I just feel like
There's a connection there.
Yeah, exactly. I just feel like if you live in Kansas, you have to watch.
Were there
Wizard of Oz.
tornadoes when you were there?
Yes, and it was very terrifying because me and my sister would be like home by ourselves. Sorry, we had very different circumstances. Anyway, point is that we would be home by ourselves and there would be a tornado warning, and so we would just hide in the closet and be like, "Oh my goodness, I hope that our parents come home."
Oh.
And then there was also the time where where my mom
heart
came
hurts.
home. Where my mom came home and there was just this random black guy that I let into our house because he knocked and I was like, "Oh yeah, come on in," because I was a little kid and I didn't know
around
better.
a tornado time or just randomly?
No. So
You let a random adult into your house?
Yes. It's what I did. I'm sorry.
Wow.
It's what I did. I was also at that time was when I slept through a fire alarm when we were sleeping at a hotel. I didn't die, as you can tell. And I'm very thankful for that. But yeah, so Wizard of Oz, like, it's...
things I didn't know were going to come up while doing this
Let's
show.
just talk about your childhood, actually. This is amazing.
well, I mean, that's what we're saving for the next show, right?
Yes, precisely. We're actually going to have a mom show with your 3 moms.
Oh,
so,
really? Oh, my
yeah.
goodness. Wait, you found her? So I'm adopted, listener. But
Keep going. This is great.
All right. Let's bring it back to Wizard of Oz. Zach's keeping us on time here. Just give me the
okay,
look.
cool. It's hard because again, I haven't seen Wizard of Oz in so long. But like, my personal connection to Wizard of Oz is like I auditioned for my very first musical audition, or they like gave us songs to audition with, and it was If I Only Had a Brain, which that was very fun. I just think about it now, and I'm just like, was that movie really good? Like, I don't know if it really was.
Well, think about the elements. Like, we have the Wicked Witch of the West, who was number 4 on AFI's top villains list. And that's a great, great villain. Do you think she's scary at all?
Oh, yeah, she's terrifying.
Right?
At least when I was a kid.
And having that element in a movie, and many of these movies do have great villains and great heroes.
It makes me wonder if it has anything to do with... Sorry, what's the famous Christmas movie where the guy like...
It's a Wonderful Life?
Yeah, It's a Wonderful Life, right? Because the only reason that movie is like famous is because it was cheap, and so they bought it and like re-aired it in homes.
And it's a great movie.
Well, no, but that's the thing. It was
And
great.
it's the greatest Christmas movie of all time.
Yeah, but you only think that because of how often it
Joel,
aired.
you erased it from history, so
I didn't watch it on
about
TV.
it.
Well, I watch it on TV every year.
But no, but that's that's the point. And so like I know that history with that film, and that film is only famous because it aired so much, and so
it's a
I'm
good
just
movie.
like. Is it? I don't know. I haven't seen it. But
Baconsale proves it is.
Oh yeah, for sure. Boop.
there's going to be a lot of Baconsale approved.
Young approved. Young approved. I don't like that
Anyway,
movie.
yeah, Young approved. No. Young
Zach,
disapproved.
Get off the show.
Zach, no, Zach just got here. But no, like Wizard of Oz, like part of me is just like, I want to rewatch it, but then I'm also like, oh, black and white films. Like I can't do
Is
them.
there
Black
any-
and white for like the first 10 minutes.
Is there any
And then
part
it's
that
colored for the rest
annoys
of the
you? Like, does Dorothy annoy you? Like, the No Place Like Home,
No,
the
really,
journey she
none
has.
none of the characters bother me. None of like the story bothers me. Like part
Not
of
even
it,
the king
I
of
do
the
think-
forest.
It does make me. I do still wonder like about like, oh yeah, like you need to have great and powerful Oz,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
So like at the end, he's like, they reveal him and he's like on a bike or something, and I just remember that, and I'm like, what on earth does that have to do with anything? And then he's like, oh yeah, you've had it the entire time, and it's just like, oh yeah, if you want to go home, just go home. And it's like, this is the most pointless movie of all time. Like nothing gets accomplished.
But
And
it's,
so I
it's
have
all
no
a
idea.
dream. It's all in
is
Dorothy's
it?
head. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, she wakes up at the
Oh
end.
wow, they need to make that more clear. That's
Well,
a
she
sign of bad
recognizes like
writing.
all the people, all the friends she has. They all look like the characters.
Oh,
And so it's like she's like, I had a dream, and you were there, and you were there, and you were
all
there.
right.
Yeah.
See, maybe I should have rewatched it. I feel bad we're starting with this because the other ones I swear I've actually watched.
So Roger Ebert chose this as one of his great films, writing The Wizard of Oz has a wonderful surface of comedy and music, special effects, and excitement. But we still watch 6 decades later, and actually 2 more decades onto that, because the underlying story penetrates straight to the deepest insecurities of childhood, stirs them, and then reassures them.
Well, and I think one of the reasons it is the greatest movie of all time because this was
You just
made,
found that as pointless as the movie, didn't you?
Well, this was
Well,
made
no, not pointless.
80
I
years
just
ago.
disagree.
This is over 80 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yet people still know the Tin Man, they know the Scarecrow, they know Dorothy, they know the Oz, they know the Ruby Slippers, like all those things
Toto.
are still part.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rain's Down in Africa. And
Yep.
all of those things are still
Weezer song, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. They're still like referenced and people know them today. Not many 80-year-old movies can say that.
Well, I think that really does go to Matt's point about the fact that it was played so often. And I'm sitting here thinking about it. I
Wait,
don't
It's
know
Wonderful Life or Wizard of Oz?
both,
'Cause
right?
I don't remember ever seeing Wizard of Oz on TV.
You don't?
I think it's always
well,
on
you
in the
weren't alive in
holidays.
the 70s, so
No, I wasn't.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know that I've actually seen this movie all the way through. I really don't.
Get off the show.
Well, you see it in chunks and you see it in pop culture. And I've seen the stage production multiple times, but I don't know that I've ever sat down and thoughtfully and mindfully watched The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, agreed.
I think it's just so woven into pop culture
fabric.
that everybody, whether you've seen it or not, you know about it.
yeah, you just know what it is. And like with all of like, even like, Phineas and Ferb like does a parody of The Wizard of Oz, which
Sure.
that's like I've seen like almost all the parodies of The Wizard of Oz, and I know, but I haven't.
Sure, that
I
20-minute
haven't-
parody of this
Exactly.
great classic film.
See, I'm glad that we agree that the 20-minute parody is great and classic.
Wow.
Like, I'm glad that
Younger
we agree,
kids don't
Ken.
get sarcasm.
So, sorry, what did you say?
So, and here's what I want to know is like, we are using this as a launch pad for this film education. For kids, would you have them watch this movie as to start their education as for movies themselves?
See, that's the thing. I think that if you are even slightly interested in like anything to do with the film, I do think you need to watch The Wizard of Oz.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you can just say that you watched it is more important than actually like knowing that you watched it.
Yeah.
So
'Cause,
lying.
that's the
Lying
thing.
is important.
Lying is
it's
better
not
than
lying.
having watched the
I'm not
movie.
lying to you when I say I've watched The Wizard of Oz. I've watched it like 2 or 3 times, but all of them were what I was like
Hey,
5
it's more than
to
Zach.
5 to 7. And so
That's true. You got to leg up on Zach.
exactly. And so like I'm not lying to you when I say, "Oh yeah, I've seen The Wizard of Oz," but I also like I can tell you really anything about it. Like I tried
Okay.
to and I don't know. So,
See, I'm like the opposite. I don't know that I've actually sat and watched it all the way through, but I could tell you everything about it.
yeah.
Considering that's the one that you saw many, many years ago, I want to get to the ones that you probably have more opinions on.
Yeah.
So we're jumping all the way to 1960s. So from
We
1939.
kind of jumped over the 40s and 50s.
Yeah,
but-
and there's great films in
and
there.
there were, and we had them in there, but we had to pull them out. And
Yeah.
so The Wizard of Oz was our classic Hollywood kind of pick. Next up, we went for suspense and horror.
Yeah, the quintessential early horror.
It's suspense, we'll say. This is our
Yes.
suspense pick.
So Psycho.
1960. Zach.
I've seen this movie. Well, I want to know why you put this movie on the list.
It's one of those movies that, personally, this is just my opinion again.
Yeah.
I feel like it is a perfect suspense thriller. Not a frame is wasted, not a shot is wasted, and it subverts your expectations. I love showing this to people who have no idea what's going to happen, because when it happens,
Yeah.
they're floored because they've gotten accustomed to certain
And
ways of
I'm
watching
surprised
movies.
you found many people who have never seen this movie, because it is a joy to share this one, because it turns out like this weird mystery about stolen money and turns into something else entirely.
And this is directed by Alfred Hitchcock, who you can listen about in episode 175, Baconsale, The Men Who Knew Too Much About Hitchcock because we watched every single Alfred Hitchcock movie.
This movie is suspense perfection.
Well, what I really appreciate about this movie is it really ushered in the modern era of watching movies when they're playing, watching them from beginning to end. Because
coming in before the movie starts, and because it used to be you just walk in whenever, and this one they said nope. You have to be at the beginning.
Movies back in the day were just playing. You would walk in midway through, leave partway through, and this really was like you're going to sit down when it starts. You're going to watch the whole thing
story
and then leave
and be shocked.
Yeah.
So we've talked too much. Matt's.
I should give the synopsis.
Yeah.
A Phoenix secretary embezzles $40,000 from her employer's client, goes on the run, and checks into a remote motel run by a young man under the domination of his mother. Matt, you watched Psycho just for the first time.
Yeah, about a week ago.
How much did you know much about it?
Like, of course, I knew Psycho. I knew I was going to know who like the characters were once they were introduced. But I had no idea like who was going to be introduced. Like, I had no idea that.
So we're going to spoil a little bit here for 1960s Psycho, just to let you know. Matt's, go ahead.
We literally have it written here, the famous Bates Motel. I was just so shocked that, of course, it's permeated pop culture.
Yes.
Like, there's no way to not know about Norman Bates. And also, they did perfect casting for the TV show, which I've never seen. Because I was like, dude, that looks like Charlie Buckets. Yeah. Like, that totally does.
That's so funny.
That sounds so wrong.
I love how you're saying that he looks like, what's his name? Freddie Highmore.
Yeah, Freddie Highmore, yeah.
Because it's just funny because I remember when you're watching it in reverse, you know Bates Motel first and then Psycho second.
Yeah.
I know Psycho first and then I watch Bates Motel. But I also kind of, when I've watched a few episodes of Bates Motel.
Really good.
And it stressed me out because I was like, I kept being like, I hope this ends well. And I'm like, no, I know where this ends.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Just so that people can stop hanging in suspense, I went into Psycho thinking that I was not going to like this movie, and I left genuinely feeling like I became a better person.
Wow.
I think that if you
I thought for sure you were going to hate all these movies.
No. I think if you have any interest in being a decent human being, you need to watch Psycho.
Okay. There are movies that you could say that about, and they're generally inspiring movies. They're not about dressing up and shower scenes.
No, but it's not really what it was about.
And
though.
I totally
It was
understand you,
more of
but give your reasoning.
Yeah,
So no,
that's a fascinating
the thing.
take.
That's the thing. So for me, it was just more so of a depiction of society, where I know that like with everything.
Oh
that's
no, we
going
live
on,
in a society,
and with our society and with everything that's going on, it's just very easy to believe that like the world is just getting worse and people are just bad. But as you start to watch the movie, like honestly, society has not changed at all. Like this is just about like these two people who are in like a sort of like secret affair thing that's like also not an affair. It was kind of weird. It wasn't explained very well, but that's okay. It's about this lady who steals $40,000, yes, but she steals $40,000 to be with the love of her life. And then she, something really bad ends up happening, but after talking to Norman Bates, she ends up changing her mind and wanting to grow and become a better person. And I think that's where the true like horror of it is because she dies before she's able to make that change. And then
you're making me so proud right now.
I know, right?
Really, really proud.
And then when we go to Sam, I remember I literally almost started crying because he was actually, so Sam is the main protagonist, the boyfriend. He's actually writing her love letters, which he said that he would do if she didn't want to meet with him anymore. And so then it's like this other tragic story of like this guy was genuinely in love with her and was going to do whatever it took to be with her, and she died because she was trying to be. She was being selfish, but also trying to do something selfless. And I do think you're right that but also like the movie helped me understand like my grandparents a lot better, because really these people are just so blunt. Like that's just how they were in the 60s. And I think that anytime you watch a movie, it's a depiction of society at that time. And I think that if you watch a movie with that in mind and with like the idea of like trying to learn from it, then I think that there is always something to learn from a movie or from anything.
That is absolutely true.
Yeah. And so this movie just made me feel like I felt like I connected more to my grandparents. I felt like I connected more to my society. And so I genuinely left like, I was so like, of course the ending is like very terrifying with the last monologue, but after the movie was done, I was just like, man, that was, because also I didn't know it was a mystery. Like I had no idea, because like that's the thing I knew.
Did you know the twist?
Yeah, I knew the twist that Norman Bates' mother is dead, and that and that he's just carrying her, and he's like keeping her.
Do you feel any empathy for Norman Bates? Because the way they present him.
Yeah.
In all of his Norman Bates parts.
At the beginning, like they present him as this very likable guy, and he's also like honestly really funny.
That's one of the reasons I love it, is because you were following Marion for the beginning there. She is your protagonist, and the only other sympathetic character you have is Norman Bates. So when she gets killed,
then he's the protagonist.
You start going sympathizing with him, and then you find out about him, and you're like, I've been sympathizing with the monster.
Yeah, exactly. And it was fascinating because the entire time I was watching, I was just like, I know he's speaking her voice. How is he doing it? But then like every time that like the killer ran in and it was, dressed as the mom, I was like, who is that? And like, I know it has to be him dressed up, but then when it showed him carrying the body, I was like, what on earth? Yeah. She's dead. How on earth are they doing this?
When you were watching this for the first time, do you realize that like the shower scene probably is the shot in all film history?
No, it is 100% the shot. And it was
with
so
the
funny
music and everything.
Because as soon as it was done and you saw the blood, I was like, that's totally chocolate sauce.
Because you know that. Because we talked about it here on Baconsale too.
Yeah, exactly. So I was just watching, I was like, man, that like really makes me want ice cream, but also like, no.
I've never heard anyone watch Psycho and say I want ice cream and I love my grandparents.
Yeah, exactly. But it was
I'm a better man.
It was I 100%.
That's amazing. That's a great take, man.
And also every single scene, like the jump scare scenes, they genuinely got me.
Yeah, right.
And especially with when she's
on the stairs.
Yeah, Arbogast on the stairs. Because of course it's like him falling down this way is like
they had to do a weird rear projection there. It was kind of
it was kind of weird, but still like the whole like she just walks out of nowhere. Yeah, and so he just walks out of nowhere and then just stabs him, and it was terrifying.
Would you watch more movies like this from this time era, maybe even from Hitchcock?
Oh, see, that's the thing. I love black and white movies, but like
I thought you just said you didn't like black and white.
So look, black and white. So that's the thing. Black and white movies are very easy to fall asleep in. Like Phantom of the Opera, I can never get past the black and white part.
Yeah, the old silent one.
No, like the updated one.
Joel Schumacher one?
Yeah.
Oh.
It starts black and white. I know. I've been told.
So many versions.
I've been told that the most recent one is like black and white for like 5 minutes, but I can never get
barely black and white.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. If it's black and white, then you gotta like.
You
do
hate
something
movies that go from
relevant.
black and white to color. I think
that's what it is.
Is it?
Because it was Wizard of Oz and Phantom of the Opera.
But like Enchanted animation to like live action, I feel like that's
weirdly enough. I had the same exact problem with the movie Casino Royale.
Really?
It took me forever to get through
It's
it.
a 3-minute scene.
I know. I'm right with you there.
What is it with young kids in black and white movies?
All right, let's move on to the next movie.
Yes.
Well, that went really well, guys. Should we just stop the show there?
Probably.
I feel like so warm and compassionate right now, and I don't want to go into any other.
Well, how about next up from 1966, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly?
The challenge. Matt, this was our challenge for you, right? Like we needed to throw a Western in here, and we knew that giving you a Western would be a bad thing because they're generally 3 hours long.
And this is the longest movie we gave you with 177 minutes.
And we're sorry?
A bounty hunting scam joins two men in an uneasy alliance against a third in a race to find a fortune in gold buried in a remote cemetery.
So, Matt, this is Clint Eastwood at his most Clint Eastwoodiest.
This is Sergio Leone at his most spaghetti.
Yes. Ennio Morricone.
This is called a spaghetti Western. It's an Italian person trying to mimic the style of American Westerns.
I don't think this is your or my favorite Western.
No.
But I think this is what you consider when you think of the Western genre.
Yes.
Okay.
And so we want to give this one to you. Yes, it doesn't quite fit with the rest of this, but you needed this part of American film history.
It does fit the rest of this because it's one of those film culture things. Like
Correct.
Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is something that is referenced. Just the title alone. And the score and everything. So, Mance, give us your review of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Cool. So one of the first things I wrote, because of course I went into it not really being very excited. It's 3 hours and it's a Western, which I've never watched.
But
a Western.
no black and white.
Yeah, no black and white. It's like the third thing I wrote on my notes. Sergio Leone, he's the director? To be honest, I have no idea who he is. Like, I've never heard of that name before in my entire life. And so the entire movie, I was trying to figure out, why don't I know this guy? And then the movie just kept going, and I was like, oh, this is why I don't know this guy. Because he directed an awful film that literally, it's 3 hours long, and you could literally cut out a full hour and a half of it because it's just building up suspense. Literally, the final shootout between the three guys, honestly, because I also edit, like, for fun every now and then. I know Zach does, too. So, like, it shows the faces of each person in the shootout.
That's one of his
just
things.
Going back and
The
forth.
extreme close-ups.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing. And that's great. You go around each person like once or twice, maybe 3 times if you're feeling lucky. He goes around, I swear, at least 20 times per person. And it just keeps going back and forth. For absolutely no reason.
You just said what he does is he creates suspense. None of what you just said sounds bad.
No. So he loves to create suspense by stretching it out so thin that it eventually dies,
Matt,
passes on to the next life, and then isn't resurrected.
It's your
in time
final moment.
He stretched it out
You're
so
about
far.
to be shot by 1 or 2 people, right? This is your final moment. You don't think you want that moment to be longer?
I don't want it to be a full 4 minutes. I don't want to be
the score.
I don't know the score. Okay, you know what?
The score is amazing.
See, I always thought that tune was famous because the movie was so good, but really, it's only famous because the tune is repeated literally every 5 minutes in the stupid film. Literally, you watch something 5 minutes later, 5 minutes later,
I hate a repeating theme and a motif.
It's literally just like oh my goodness, it's
but how
hit
did
over the head.
This is
Don't
a
watch
movie
Dr.
with this
Zhivago,
theme.
trust
And
me. Okay, so you said it's the worst movie ever, but if it were they cut out that hour and a half, you'd like it better.
Yes, I would.
So it's just the length.
Because when the actual plot was happening, it was really great. But then it would just go to somebody walking, and then go to another person walking, and then go to another person walking, just to go back to the first person who's still walking, just to repeat this process 6 more times.
No, I'm going to tell you this.
And by the time you've watched all of this, it's 7 minutes, and it's not okay.
This movie walked so others could run. This movie invented a lot of that filmography, so that maybe someone could shorten it and make an hour-and-a-half movie in the future.
There's the 50s Western that then became the 60s spaghetti Western.
Right.
And 70s spaghetti Western. And Matt's, I do feel like we maybe need to give you, not for this show, but just on the side, we'll give you our favorite Westerns, a couple of really fun ones.
Yeah.
Just so you can enjoy those.
That's the thing. One of my good friends is he's obsessed with Westerns, I found out. And he's actually disappointed because he's never watched The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And I was just telling him, yeah, if you want to watch it, watch it.
But I mean, even just True Grit or The Searchers or Maverick.
High Noon.
High Noon's a good one.
So, I do think it's a good take, though. Even I was going to bring up High Noon. That was the first class that I watched when I was taking film classes, and it is kind of common in the Western genre for a lot of it to build atmosphere and build tension, but feel like it's not going anywhere. So I totally get that.
Because it's the Old West. It's so unpredictable.
And I think it also has to do with just my generation, because I grew up with technology, and so I'm just very used to having
So it's
everything very
gratification.
quickly. Yeah, gratification quickly, yeah. And I like to think I'm pretty patient. I know I'm not, but I like to think I am. And then this movie takes your patience and then just drags it out. And it's just so that it's so thin it doesn't
Would you
exist.
ever watch another Sergio Leone movie again?
I don't know.
Or a few dollars more, Fistful of Dollars, any of those.
It just okay. Wait, real quick. All I have to say is, you know what I really love in my movies
Sarcasm
is when
coming
there
out.
are
Here we go.
Sounds like sarcasm.
no. Is when there are voiceovers to go over the actual audio that don't match up or sync with the voice, the actors at all.
Because they were speaking a different language.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ADR.
Sure.
Once again, spaghetti Western, filmed in
Not
Italy.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not okay. And also, I had no idea.
It's
who
actually okay.
I also had no idea who
It happens a
Tuco.
lot.
I had no idea who Tuco or the Ugly were. I didn't realize they were the same person until I Googled the Wikipedia page and read it.
Okay, can I ask a serious question?
Yes.
Be honest. Were you on your phone while watching these movies?
Yes. There was literally yes. Oh wow, I'm on my phone. That's so bad. Wow.
Pulls out a flip phone.
Yeah. Oh man, how dare I be on my phone?
You can play Snake on that thing.
Matt, you know the cardinal rule is when someone recommends a movie to you, you can't be distracted during it.
I didn't say. I'm just waiting for this film to be over until 1 hour, 41 minutes, and 17 seconds into the movie. And then about 40 minutes later, I said, I'm so sorry. We're at the actual battle, but I've become so disinterested. I'm just singing lyrics to Don't Stop Believing. Because I was so
She's just a small town
bored.
girl living in a
Lonely world.
How did you get my notes for Interstellar?
Knock it off.
Don't make Kent angry.
Yeah.
Interstellar's so complicated.
We got to move on. Anything else you want to say about this before we move on?
It's just, don't.
Westerns are
never
tough.
watch
Hey,
it.
by the way, the older you get, the more you'll like them. I'm just letting you know. I was the
really-
same way.
All right, so we went from
I'm
Western,
done.
and then Ken and I decided to dive deep into full horror.
Oh, I love where you're going with this.
Yes, because we were suspenseful with Hitchcock. A lot of the violence is not seen on the screen. Jaws is violence on the screen, even if you don't see the shark most of the time. Jaws, 1975. Directed by Steven Spielberg, which you can go back and listen to episode 65. Steven Spielberg and the Raiders of the Lost Ark back in July of 2016.
I'm so
We
proud of
talked
that
about
title.
It's so ridiculous. So this is a PG movie, but I'm definitely saying this is not for kids. This is phase 3 horror, I think, in my kids' list. So,
And this is another one where it's like everyone should kind of eventually see at some point. They don't show this on TV anymore, really.
Not really.
You may see a sequel on TBS or something.
yeah. But this is one of those movies that, once again, you hear Jaws, you know shark. Just what
Yeah,
it is.
did you know much about the theme? Like if you were in the ocean and you heard, dun,
Yes,
And,
of course I know
you
what
knew
the
there was
theme
fear,
is.
right?
Yes, of course. Oh my goodness, how old do you think I am?
I'm not sure.
Dude, come on.
So, synopsis.
I watched Jimmy Neutron. They did an episode parodying Jaws. Anyway,
So, synopsis.
I know
When a
all
killer
about this.
Save it for the Jimmy Neutron show.
Never,
yes.
never. You mean the bad animation show? Yeah, we could do that.
That's and I are going to
When
do
a killer
Yeah.
shark,
Yes.
when a killer shark unleashes chaos on a beach community, it's up to local sheriff, a marine biologist, and an old seafarer to hunt the beast down.
Matt's, this created the modern day blockbuster.
Yeah.
We would not have blockbusters
This had a
without
budget.
this movie.
This had a budget of $9 million, made $472 million, 52 times its budget.
Wow.
You're acting like I know what a blockbuster movie is.
Big movie, big summer movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Big summer movie.
Yeah.
So any movie
No,
that
one
was
that-
released in the summer that made
like
their money
makes
back.
some-
There's
There's
some bad movies that made in
Yeah.
summer.
Movies with big budgets and special effects and big actors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They were very rare back
very-
in the day.
Yeah.
And now you see 10 a year. At
Yeah,
least.
makes sense.
And
yeah.
that's probably why you don't really recognize what they are, because they don't really differentiate.
out every
as much
month.
anymore.
Yeah.
Also
all
known as
like-
tentpole movies.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're
So-
kind of big movies the studios are throwing out there.
Thoughts on Jaws?
So this is the only movie I actually had to pay to watch, and I really wish I
Could have let you borrow it.
Well, I watched this one on VidAngel, and sadly, the filtering accidentally screwed up the scene at the beginning, and so then I had to go back and unfilter and rewatch it and all that. But anyway, I actually really enjoyed this movie. I really did. It grabbed my attention the entire time. I'm trying. It's hard because I actually watched it today, and after I was done watching, I just didn't really have any thoughts. It was just a good movie.
Yeah,
I
because
was gonna
it's
say-
a creature feature.
Yeah.
And so there's
Yeah.
not like a lot of deep philosophical themes to it. It's a story of survival. There we go. Once
Yeah.
again.
But here's my question, Matt. So seeing as how you don't see the shark for most of the movie, was that effective for you, or would you rather have seen more of the shark?
No, I think it was very effective just because I already have a really big fear of drowning. And so that first scene when she's being tossed around and then when she says it hurts, it was really hard to
That gives me
watch.
the gut.
And for me actually it's just hard. I don't like watching people die at
So-
all. And so it's just hard.
In any movie?
Ugh. No, in any movie. I would rather watch an entire planet blow up in one of these movies versus actually watching
One person.
So modern day
individual
blockbuster.
people.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah.
I was going to say, do you like the horror genre? Is that one you enjoy watching?
I do enjoy watching horror. I do enjoy the horror genre. The reason why is because it's very similar to a reality game show where you are just trying to last as long as you possibly can.
Right.
And people
Good
are dropping
point.
one by one. And
Yeah.
so I've always been fascinated with that idea. But every time I play something in a horror movie or I play horror video games, I die first and it's not okay.
So were you watching these three men on this boat? And were you saying he's going to go first? He's going to go second?
Well, that's the thing.
sort of thing?
That's the thing. I already knew because I've read the plot of Jaws a couple of times before, and also the whole father-son scene with him copying him.
love
I knew
that.
because Joel talks about that a lot anytime
It's
the guys
so
talk
cute.
about Jaws, and so I was excited for that scene, and then it hit me in the heart, and I was just very touched. And then,
But what bit you in the heart? Not
Yeah,
hit you in the heart.
was there a part that scared you more than others?
really, it was the part when
story.
the captain is dying.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, when Quinn gets
Wait,
Yeah.
it wasn't the Quint story. Because I feel like
good.
the story about the Indianapolis is the most terrifying part.
Well, the part that gets me and gets most viewers, I feel, is the jump out scare when the body falls down when they're investigating. Terrifies me every time, even though I know it's coming. But you're definitely right. The Quinn dying with the shark biting
Yeah,
him.
it was hard to watch, and it was
Horrifying.
also awful because it was mirroring how his friend had died that he had talked
Right.
about in the story.
Yeah.
To be completely honest, I actually missed the first half of the story because of my stuffy nose and I couldn't breathe, and so I was just sniffling the entire time, and so I missed it.
Would you
It was
be
very
willing
sad.
to rewatch this one? Because that part is definitely worth rewatching.
Or
just that gets me
clip.
every time.
Honestly, I don't know. It was just hard to watch, especially when the mom who loses her son, blames
Brody.
blames Brody when it really had nothing to do with Brody,
Right.
And that just really agitated me, and I just I hate people making decisions that are first unintelligent, but also not holding themselves accountable and standing behind
like the
their
mayor
decisions.
the entire
exactly,
time,
yeah.
right.
The mayor agitated me like none other because
Yeah.
it's fine if you want to keep the beach open, but be the one that takes credit for it instead of saying, "Oh yeah, the woman who just lost her son was wrong. Don't listen to her." It's screw you, dude. You're the worst. Die. And then he didn't die. And I
Family
just
friendly.
So
it just made me
I love
so
how you say,
sad.
I hate watching people die. Why don't you die?
See, I hate watching people who want to change and who have hope die,
Yes.
but people who
Which is why Psycho got you.
Who deserve
Yeah.
it.
But that's
Yeah.
the thing, Matt. I think that shows that it's a good character because you hate the mayor so much in this movie, and he's not the killer, but
Yeah.
you hate him. because he is so irresponsible.
Yeah.
And I think it's a testament to his character as both an actor and the writing of the character.
So
Yeah,
as
great.
someone
And
so
his stupid
young
anchor jacket.
and hasn't seen a lot of maybe movies with crappy special effects, how did you feel the special effects held up in this
No,
one?
honestly, it was like it's better than like most shark movies probably.
They would be super happy to hear you say
Yeah,
that,
no,
honestly,
it
because
honestly was.
everything
'Cause-
was almost a mistake in this one.
Yeah, no, because when I first watched, when I first got Vid Angel, I actually watched 47 Meters Down.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah. That movie was suspenseful, right?
Yeah.
But like it was
Yeah, CG sharks.
It was a weird movie.
There's
yeah.
something about CG versus practical effects, I'm
Yeah.
telling you.
Well, no, honestly, CG sharks scare me way more because there's more of them and it's terrifying. but the point is that honestly, it looked like a real shark. It did, and then like it wasn't bad until the professor guy gets jump scared by the
Right.
dead body
Yeah,
underwater.
yeah.
That was the only time, but it was good. I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mance.
I don't know if I'll ever watch it again. I don't think I
You
would
should.
ever let people like watch it in my house. But like
It's not. It's fine. The thing is, like,
a
horror.
good movie.
Horror is such a subjective genre where some people like some things, some people like other things, and like, there's definite lines. I totally understand
Yeah.
that.
Just have a swimming pool party and watch this.
Yeah.
No.
It's great.
No.
Yes.
You're the worst.
on
I
tubes.
always
You're
want
the
to do
worst
that. I
guy.
always want to do like watching it like at Surf and Swim in Layton.
Baconsale
like
pool party
Yeah,
right
on
there.
the wave pool, just on
Why?
watching this on
Why?
a tube in the
No,
water.
Why?
'Cause it's
what is
so
wrong with
freaking-
Will you come with?
There's no sharks in the water.
okay,
Please?
No.
I always
Anyway.
thought there were sharks at Surf and Swim.
So
Honestly.
did I. Well,
in the
I
cages.
fool myself
Zach,
thinking there's sharks in
can we
Bear
go?
Lake.
Like,
Yeah,
I'm
we
not
have to.
okay. I'm not comfortable.
Okay, so next up, Ken and I aren't big sports people.
No.
But we decided we need to put a sports type movie in this.
This is a sports type movie.
This is a sports type movie.
I wouldn't
It's
say
a
this is
sports movie.
I don't think this is a very sportsy movie.
Boxing is a sport, and this is an underdog sport. This is an underdog story.
This is an
Rocky.
American dream story. This is, yes, it's a fictional story, but at the same time,
I'll tell you why it's not a sports movie. I don't like sports movies. I love this movie.
okay. So the movie we chose from the following year, 1976, and it's Rocky.
A small-time boxer gets a supremely rare chance to fight a heavyweight champion in a bout which he strives to go the distance for his self-respect. This is directed by John G. Avildsen, who did The Karate Kid 1, 2, and 3.
Wow.
And Rocky 5.
What?
So he did Rocky and Rocky 5.
Was this not?
That's a drop off.
And this is, by the way, gentlemen, I looked it up. This is probably the biggest success story because this is a budget of $960,000 and it made $225 million. 234 times its budget.
Also, Sylvester Stallone like kept pitching this movie to other people, and he kept being told no because he wanted to play, Rocky, and nobody would let him. My dad is a really big fan of this film, which is why I know that. Although I still had never seen it, and so
Yeah, it's weird. You see Stallone now in the action movies he does, which are very forgettable, and he wrote this movie. Like a lot of his early writing is just works of art.
to be completely
consider.
honest, I've never seen Sylvester Stallone in anything. But yeah,
Are you familiar with him?
yeah, of
even
course.
though you hadn't seen the
so,
movies?
Like the impression.
So Sylvester Stallone and I actually have the same birthday. So that's
hey.
why. So that's why
Get it?
I'm like, oh man, Sylvester Stallone, dude, like you're pretty chill. Also,
You're pretty
interesting
chill?
fact.
What's
Interesting
your
fact,
star sign, Sylvester?
The creator of Jeopardy, Merv Griffin, was also born on July 6th, my birthday.
There we
and
go.
So,
So tell us your thoughts about Rocky.
my first thought was, wait, is Apollo Creed not a real person? I thought he was.
Because you thought this was a true story.
You know, a lot of people
No,
think
no.
Rocky's a real person too.
No, I knew Rocky wasn't. I just thought Apollo Creed was a real wrestler, and then he's the main antagonist, quote unquote. And I was like, wait, is he not real? Like I thought my entire life he
because
was real.
you've heard the name so often.
Yes, yeah. I
Well, and
thought
they had
Apollo Creed was a real
the
guy.
newest movies are called Creed.
Yeah, and so I thought he was real. And then my second thought, as they were, as he was wrestling against like Spider Guy,
It's a boxing movie.
Spider?
boxing. No, the Spider Guy. That's his name. That's his nickname. The guy that Rocky fights at the beginning of the movie. That's his
yeah,
nickname.
yeah.
Oh,
yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I was
thought we were
thinking
talking
Spider-Man.
about
Yeah,
Spider-Man.
one of
I was
us.
thinking Spider-Man.
Okay, at least one of us has seen this movie, guys.
the human,
Yeah.
the human spider.
Bonesaw.
Yeah.
Boneshaw's ready.
Nice. So then the second thing I wrote was maybe it's because I'm more of a peacemaker, but I've never understood boxing or fighting. Like it's like we need world peace, but also boxing is a fun sport.
It's a sport, though. I mean,
But
these athletes train their whole
Boxing,
lives.
I don't like boxing as a sport at all, but for whatever reason, it makes for great movies.
Yes.
No, Rocky
Yeah.
gave me unrealistic expectation of boxing matches.
Yeah.
You watch a real boxing match, they're
not that
basically
fun.
just hugging each other
No,
the whole
but
time. 'cause they're
boxing
both
movies
tired.
are really
But the
dramatic.
way boxing movies are choreographed with the guy's coming out strong, he starts losing for most of the time, and he comes back at the end. The music score just rises at that point. That's not how real boxing works, but
Yeah.
it works in these movies.
Yeah.
And that is what Rocky does well. But Rocky is so surprising because I think it's this American dream story.
Spoiler alert.
And then the end happens.
Yeah.
What did that surprise you at all?
No, because Joel talked about that on the previous episode. Where
Dang
like,
it.
it's this really big deal that like
We gave a
Rocky,
spoiler alert then, though.
that Rocky doesn't win, and I'm watching this movie thinking like, okay, so they got to set it up that he wins. And I'm just like, they're not setting this up for him to win at all. Like, this is
thing
very obvious.
The thing I like about it is they don't really make you. They give you a hope that he could win, but it's the audience who's seen all these underdog stories before. It's like, yeah, I know this story. Underdog fights the big guy and he wins. This is awesome.
Well, that's the thing. That's not really what the movie was about, though. And and that's the thing. He even says it too. You know, like right at the climax. After the climax, right before the fight, he's just saying, "I just want to last through the rounds because if I can last,
If I can go the distance.
yeah, if I can go the distance, then that means that like I have worth." And that made me like, very emotional because I actually really connected to. Rocky with this because when I competed at nationals my senior year, it was my first time competing at nationals. But when I was in speech and debate, I didn't have a coach because my coach changed every single year, and so I was self-taught in everything that I did. And then I somehow made it to nationals, and then
Nice.
best in Utah, 30th in the country. I was like, I actually have a chance here. Like I could win. And so when you said he loses, and then watching this is like, oh yeah, that happened to me. That happened to me. That happened to me. He loses.
And
Like,
you
I
met
know.
Adrian along the way.
Yeah, and then you
Right.
met Adrian, and also I love his relationship with Adrian just because he is so awkward and he just
is.
keeps
Right.
talking, and I'm just like, man, Rocky. Like after honestly, a solid like 30-40 minutes into the movie, that's actually when I was just like, no, this is a character that I want to have 6 movies of.
So that's what I wanted to know because this first movie feels different from the other ones.
Very
and you
much
would
so.
find that out if you watch them. This
Yeah.
is more about the personal story of Rocky Balboa.
Yeah.
And then they kind of become sports action movies after this, which is great to watch. It's really fun, but this is the first one that's
This
real
has
character
more
study.
depth. Yeah.
Right, of course.
So you like that? That didn't bore you at all?
No, it did not bore me. And then by the end, it wasn't really about like the fighting, and even like. And sorry, I hope this isn't too dramatic. Even my therapist talks to me about this every now and then. Is like how he's never understood sports, and I also have never understood sports. But the reason being is because people who like sports like can see the story. They see these people have like given their all or have like fought their way to be where they are, and that's why the game is so interesting because you're seeing these stories collide. And so that's when I really liked the fight at the end compared to the beginning because I knew who Rocky was. I knew what he was trying to do and like where he was trying to go, and so it was really cool. The scene with him in the doorway talking to a door is exactly why he's famous. He's ridiculous, but also extremely kind and honorable. Anyway, I just wanted
Okay.
to say that.
It sounds like you really like this movie.
Yeah, I was crying. Well, I wasn't crying. I was tearing up.
You
It's
can
okay.
say
It's
cry.
okay. I
Yeah.
cry all the time, right?
Yeah.
This,
no, I
is,
do.
this is like the man card
I
allowed
cry at Rocky
crying movie.
5, okay?
Well, that's the thing,
Stop that.
that's the
Just
thing,
because
too.
it was made.
That's the thing. I
Measure of a
cry in like
man.
most movies, but like this one, I just it was. I know me when I cry, I was not crying, but I was
Yeah.
like, man, Rocky, I
Gets
love
you there.
This
Right.
sounds like
I
your
love you.
second favorite of the list so far.
Was it?
You can maybe answer at the end of the
at,
show.
Arguably-
at the end, I'd like to hear your top 3. Top 3,
don't
bottom
know.
3.
Shoot, I need to come up with my top 3. Okay.
Well, what do you just off the top of your head?
Now, I'm not sure if you just want to plead the fifth on this next one. This is totally up to you. But I know that this was a personal challenge, maybe a challenge from other people, of a movie that you would never, ever watch. You wanted to be the final person. This was your Titanic.
Yeah.
What movie is this?
Star Wars, Episode 4 specifically.
Just call it Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't even have to call it A New Hope. It's just Star Wars.
1977 Star Wars, released May 25th,
So
1977.
sad.
Directed by George Lucas, who has only directed 6 feature-length movies,
And most
4
of
of
them
which were Star Wars.
Yeah.
That blew my mind when I realized he hadn't directed that much at all.
What's the not American Graffiti? Not Star Wars.
THX
T-
11.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This one, budget of $11 million, $775 million at the box office, 70 times its budget. This is a big, big popular movie that spawned a universe, a whole movement of things. Some better than others, but you were holding on and not seeing this movie because you didn't want to, or just because it was popular?
Just because I'd made it so far.
Oh,
Like
Like it was one of those movies that maybe you've never felt the need to.
well, no, it's like that's the thing. I made it to 2020 without having seen Star Wars Episode 4, 5, or 6, or 1, 2, or 3, and I was like, that is an accomplishment. Like
Yeah.
I've only seen 7, 8, and Rogue One, which I really enjoy.
wait. Oh my gosh.
Hold on.
Wait.
Why?
You killed Joel. You killed Joel.
Wait.
So when you say I've never seen Star Wars, you can't actually say that. If you've seen 7, 8, and Rogue One,
Well, I mean,
especially if you've seen 8.
no,
according to you guys, you don't
wait.
count 7, 8, or
Wait.
Rogue One, or 9. So
Wait.
technically, I haven't seen because it's all about whether or not you've seen the
No,
original.
that's like you
episodes,
saying
right?
I've seen the holiday special, but I've never seen Star Wars. And I'm
doesn't
going
know
to
the
die
holiday.
on this hill.
Matt's okay. There's a couple things that really surprised me there. One, I thought you hadn't seen any of the movies, so I'm surprised that you've seen all of them. Secondly, you started with 7, and thirdly, you didn't even watch 9. and you watched Rogue One
Well.
and not Solo. Like the picking and choosing is confusing me.
So 7, 8, and then Rogue One all came out like together, and
Yeah,
then
recently.
none of my friends went to see Solo, so I didn't. And then
So this was peer pressure. Like they're like, hey, we're going to go see a movie.
honestly,
But you
yeah.
never saw
fine.
nine.
Honestly,
You never
yeah.
saw the completion of the story.
well, because
in
none of
that.
my friends did either because they were all serving missions.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you ever make the decision, hey, let's all go see this movie? Or you're just like, oh, yeah, I'll go see a movie with you
No,
guys?
so as you were talking about, like in middle school or high school, it's hard to like get through without like
The
you know,
pop culture
knowledge of films.
relevance, right.
So I faked my way into the Star Wars friends.
Nice.
and,
How so?
And all that because I grew up playing Battlefront on PlayStation, and
game.
so yeah, Battlefront 2, and so I had played that game a little bit because it was only at my cousin's house. But all of my friends who love Star Wars, all of them are obsessed with it. My one connection is that I also love Battlefront, and so when we started like our Star Wars group, it was when it came out on PlayStation 4, the Battlefront game, and so we'd all play Battlefront together, and so they all just assumed I had seen all the movies.
It's so
and watched the
interesting
show.
that you can love the video game without having the movie foundation.
And did you know
I found
character
it
names?
fascinating.
Like classic character names?
Well,
Like
I mean,
Luke,
of course,
Leia, Han?
Yeah, Luke, Leia, Han, of course.
Well,
Like,
those
you know,
original Battlefront games are kind of better than those movies. Just saying.
preach. And
Get
then, but
off
I know
the show, Zach.
It's the prequels.
Wait, better
Oh,
than
the prequel.
prequels.
yeah, it's the
Oh,
prequel.
I
okay.
thought you were saying the original trilogy. I'm like, what are you talking about?
No, I'm just mean like the Battlefront
Yeah.
games are better.
Hot
than the
take
prequel
Zach
movies.
over here.
Like,
Jeez.
I
That's what I do.
know who Ahsoka is, and like
Well,
she
no one
trains
else
with-
does, so that's okay. Just kidding, Star Wars fans.
Okay, yeah,
So,
okay.
how much of the movie did you know going in? Would you say you knew 30% of the movie, 50% of the movie?
So
70% of the
according
movie?
to you guys, I knew the entire movie because I had seen episode 7.
Oh, bird.
Wait.
Nice.
That's you guys. I mean that's it.
Oh man, that's so fascinating that you watched 7 first and then watched 4.
Did you think 7 was a good movie on its own?
I
and
loved
it's a cool
7.
story.
I thought 7 was phenomenal.
The Force Awakens, by the way.
Yeah, Force
Sorry,
Awakens. Yeah,
we should clarify what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
I
And
thought,
then did you
I
like
thought Force
Last
Awakens
Jedi?
was phenomenal. I love Last Jedi too. I know you guys hated it, and that's where I feel. Oh, why are you guys saying Zach? Zach.
And they're taking off their headphones
Okay,
and
cool.
walking
Zach,
away.
dude, we got Baconsale, just us two. How exciting
that's
is that?
the dream. That's the dream.
Yeah. So
You
that's
killed
actually
Baconsale.
So that's actually where a lot of my friends who are Star Wars junkies. Shout out to like Andy, Dylan, and Tyler. What's
up, Andy,
and
Dylan,
Brendan.
Tyler? And
But
Brendan.
anyway, sorry, because if I miss out, I have way too many friends, guys. It's an issue. Have you ever had that issue?
Oh my gosh! You could have said that. Hey, why haven't
No.
you seen Star Wars? I have way too many friends.
No. Like the other day, I was going to get lunch with one of my friends, and was like, "Oh my goodness, Heavenly Father!" Like, sorry, I was like, "Oh my goodness, I
say
have way
please
too many."
bless here.
Well, no, I was just like, I was panicking because I was like, I have too many people I'm trying to like maintain one-on-one relationships with. Like, I don't know how I'm supposed to pick and choose. I love all these people.
So you're the
I'm like,
opposite of Kent.
Yeah,
Wait, what does that even mean?
Zach.
Jeez, Zach.
yeah. But anyway,
I'm so confused.
sorry. And so, anyway, the point is, I honestly wanted this episode to be a Star Wars show where I just brought my friends and they just debated against you guys because they actually really like episode 8 and think that it helped with the story of where
Why do you
stuff
hang
was
out with
going.
wrong friends and bad people?
Yeah.
I think it. They're also the ones.
Hold on.
They're
Hold on.
also the ones
But
that
Joel,
like all the other
Joel,
ones.
that's not nice. They might be 11. You know?
I
felt bad for saying what I said, Kent.
You think I
don't-
feel bad? Come on.
No.
You need to
dares
meet
to be
them.
William.
Y'all, you guys just need to meet them and just
No,
argue,
look,
'cause it would be
that's a
really
whole
funny.
different show.
Yeah,
We could
it
talk
is.
that to
It is.
death
It would be
because
so
there
funny.
is changing and subverting, and that is what those movies,
Yeah.
well, that movie specifically did.
So yes, let's jump
But
into
bring it back.
Let's bring it back. Star Wars.
The original one.
Yes.
1977, the one that kicked it all off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tell us
This
your
one
thoughts.
is so influential for filmmakers now.
Synopsis.
get it.
I know, but based on what Matt said, people may be out there who've never seen it. Luke Skywalker joins forces with a Jedi Knight, a cocky pilot, a Wookiee, and his 2 droids to save the galaxy from the Empire's world-destroying battle station.
Did you like the movie or not?
I'm guessing based on the way that we're moving around it, probably not your favorite movie.
No.
No, it was not my favorite movie, but it's just because, like, you know, you already knew everything was going to
Do you
happen.
think it's cliche at
Like,
this point?
Well, I was going to Tashi Station to pick up some power converters.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
When he said that line, I died, and I repeated it because, like, no,
Did
it's
you
not a
find
joke.
it tough to see past the pop culture and actually just enjoy the movie?
No, actually, no. It was really easy to kind of follow along with the plot.
It's a very traditional
simplistic
hero story.
plot.
Was
Yeah.
Darth Vader scary to you?
No, I actually forgot
Really?
that Darth Vader spoke. I even wrote it down. Obviously Darth Vader speaks, and the voice actor is the exact same guy who does Mufasa in Lion King, and I know that.
True. Yeah.
But I don't know how I just forgot that Vader speaks. I just thought he was just a
Interesting.
voiceless villain.
This looming
Especially because I saw
presence.
Rogue One, where he's like, "Don't choke on your aspirations." Which when he said that, I died of laughter. Of
course you did.
Yeah, because I'm a dork. But
Well, it's bad.
But it was. Well, as long as we agree.
But did you like the story arc of Luke, the power converter Luke, as we saw him in the beginning, to the savior in the end?
No, I think that it was very lazy writing.
Oh, good heavens.
Because they literally...
That's like the traditional hero story.
Well, no,
in film history,
what I'm
right?
saying is because they don't even establish that he's a good hunter until literally right before it's important. Because he just says when they're talking about, oh no, this shot is impossible. Then Luke is just like, no, the shot's not impossible. I shoot weasels like this all the time. It can't be like much longer than 3
That's
meters.
line. That's the exact line.
Exactly. and then his friend,
Briggs.
who Briggs, I think.
Biggs,
yeah.
His friend Biggs is like, no, you can trust this guy. He's the best shooter we have back home. And I was just like, this all could have been said at the begining of the movie and like had established this, but instead it's added right
We
at
would
the
have
end.
seen
right
it if
before
we
it's
would have gone to
important.
Tashi Station.
Would we have?
You do the shootout where it's 20 takes.
Also, I didn't know Obi-Wan died. I died. I was so sad. I didn't know Obi-Wan died. But I also just figured out like a year ago that Darth Vader dies at the end of episode 6. Like I had no idea. But
Which
anyway,
begs the question, will you keep watching?
I will say that episode 4, it was a really good setup because it made me want to watch the rest of the trio when they're all like hugging and Leia like doesn't have has her arms around him and Han Solo just has his arm over Leia and it's on Luke. Like I wanted to watch the rest of the trio. I wanted to watch more. And so that tells you it was a really good starting point, but that's really it. Like that's it.
I'm
It was
actually
just good.
curious.
It was a
I
good
really
starting
would
point.
like you to keep watching. I think you're going to find more depth in the next one and then more fun in the final
Mark my
one.
words, he's going to like Return of the Jedi best out of the trilogy.
Oh,
think so,
absolutely.
too.
Well, and I think as many things as Star Wars does right, you guys have to admit that the dialogue in that first one is rough.
Yeah, really
no,
rough.
anytime you have George Lucas writing dialogue, it's going to be rough.
It's not. I kind of agree. There's a lot of tell, don't show in this movie. I mean, from a script standpoint, there are a lot of weaknesses, but I think all of the other stuff that's going on is what elevates.
Well,
this
but
movie.
the thing about it is you get all the hokey 50s sci-fi, and then you get kind of the 60s, kind of tailed off a bit, and then this kind of revitalized the sci-fi genre in a way that was not the B movie type. This was like this was a genre that was tossed to the side, and no one took it seriously, and they were able to build it up into an empire of a whole thing of like people really like. I don't want to say worship, but really
influential film.
Yeah.
Changed the
Which
game.
is why it was on our list.
and
right.
it gave us Moonraker, so this is just the best.
What?
What?
Save it for our James Bond show.
Yes.
We're finally into the area where I and Kent were alive because we're going with Raiders of the Lost Ark 1981. This is our adventure pick. In 1936, archaeologist and adventurer Indiana Jones is hired by the U.S. government to find the Ark of the Covenant before Adolf Hitler's Nazis can obtain its awesome powers. How much did you know about Indiana Jones going into this?
A lot of my friends love Indiana Jones, and that's it. That's all I really
Do
know.
they talk about Indiana Jones? Do they have posters? Like, what references do you know to his look, the whip?
Han Solo, the whip.
Yeah,
That's
Han
about
Solo
it.
the Whip.
Fair
That's
enough.
pretty much it. And as I was watching, I actually realized, oh shoot, I've seen like a part of this movie before. And so it turns out like I started the movie before, but I know for a fact I didn't finish it.
Okay, so you knew enough about the look, maybe about
Yeah.
the type of hero he
Yeah, of
is.
course. Like, he's like, Aztec, like
The theme?
discoverer.
Dun,
you know?
dun, dun, dun,
Yeah,
dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
That's
I'll give you
Superman.
this. I think he's better as Indiana Jones than Han Solo.
I agree.
No, I agree too.
So he's actually number 2 on AFI's hero list. Indiana Jones is. Also, you have the score. I think this movie really cemented Harrison Ford as the icon we all still hold him as, even though he really doesn't care about his filmography.
Yeah.
But how did you feel about this movie? Because it's definitely like decades ahead of its time and behind its time. It's a very
Yeah.
serialized story.
Yeah. If you guys have seen the Dora the Explorer movie,
Yeah.
yeah, there were a lot of similarities. Like I really loved it.
Once again,
I really
you're
loved
giving
it.
more credit to the thing that parodies the better thing.
Well, I just think Dora the Explorer was a phenomenal movie.
It's very fun.
It
It's
was
pretty
really
funny,
good.
yeah.
There are just a couple things I want to say about this. When the guy's tracking them and he's like, and he tastes like the air and was like, the poison is still fresh. They're following us. Number one, he just put poison in his mouth.
A little bit.
That's
A little
weird.
bit.
No, he put poison in his mouth.
It's true.
And that's very questionable. Number two, he knew what poison tastes like, which is also very questionable.
That's why
And
he had
number
a
three-
tolerance.
And number 3, they're following us, even though this is the first time that they've been there because it's been established because they didn't recognize the statue. So how can you be followed if you haven't been there before? That doesn't make any sense.
No, they're following them they're following them right then, is what they're saying.
Oh, they're following us because I just found this arrow that was in front of me. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. No, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense.
Sounds like we're nitpicking a little bit, but go on.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. I brought this up to my friend Andy, and he was like, because okay, we'll put it out there. I didn't like this movie. And Andy was talking to me and was saying, Matt, you need
love
to understand.
Dora. You don't like Indiana Jones.
Yeah, this movie was not very good. So there were a lot of
It's
faults.
near
And so-
perfect, Matt.
Okay, that's the thing. That's what Andy said too. And then
Yeah,
he
Andy
was,
and I are friends.
So yeah,
Unless he likes Last Jedi.
Exactly. So Andy was telling me he then, because we were at a wedding actually, and then at that moment,
And you're fighting during a wedding?
We were no longer at a wedding, and he was literally explaining shot by shot, line by line, scene by scene, why the movie was good for a solid hour and a half. He basically had the entire movie.
Wait, so
memorized.
The movie's 115 minutes.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So
So he
anyway,
basically left out the
But
credits.
did he talk it to death so much that made you dislike it, or
No,
the movie did it on its own?
he talked it to death so much that I began to understand why he liked it.
But
And
you
that's
don't
it.
understand.
I still
Yeah.
don't like it because it doesn't make any sense. Also, can we talk about
Because
so,
they're
so
following
I
that
said,
doesn't make any sense.
I said so. Another part of it too is that ich liebe Deutsch.
Yeah, you speak German.
Deutschland. Yeah, yes, I love Germany so much, and so it's
Wirklich?
hard. Wirklich? Ja. Was ist deine Lieblingsfarbe?
Ja.
Volkswagen.
Meine Lieblingsfarbe ist blau.
Ich komme mit dem Auto in der Tür dann.
Du hast.
Ja.
Ja.
Du hast mich.
Volkswagen und BMW, ja.
No, I love German. I love the German culture. I love the language. And so it was hard to watch this, honestly, because you know, it's like World War II era, right? Where
Yeah.
they're all just like villainized.
These aren't the Germans
I don't-
that we like.
Yeah, I know. That's something. This is what I'm talking about, where I don't like watching people die, because all the people that are dying besides the main three villains are just people
So,
doing their job.
What this movie does, and I think it's now a trope,
If their
is
job is a
Also-
bad job.
one thing I was going to bring up is, and I think it's a trope now, is you see Nazis in this movie, and now anytime Nazis are brought up, they're the bad guys. But I think the trope works perfectly in this movie, even though you guys say they're not the Germans we know and love now.
Yeah.
It's like, it's almost okay because the movie is meant to take place in a different time. You're almost
Exactly,
supposed to watch
yeah.
it with different eyes.
Exactly, and that's actually why I really appreciate it, is because at the beginning I was having a hard time like pinning the time period, and then when it said Nazis, I was like, oh great, World War II.
Right.
Awesome. I understand the situation. I understand the state of the world.
Right.
Like, it was very easy to follow along, and that's great.
Did you like oh, go ahead.
I just have a hard time watching people die.
Did you like the religious symbology that they use in the movie
Ark of the
and
Covenant and all that.
artifacts?
Yeah, I thought that honestly. It was just clever writing, because they used the two government guys that came in as like a ship for the audience, so that they could just let the characters explain everything.
Right.
And so I thought it was very clever writing at those moments, and there are other moments it was just really bad writing.
Now, one of the things that traumatized most children when they watched this movie was the face melting scene.
Yes.
How was that for you?
As soon as the face melting scene ended, I wrote down what I said verbatim. Quote, "For as long as I live, and if I ever have children, I will never let them watch this movie." And I will never watch this. And at the end, after I was done watching this movie,
Don't watch Temple of Doom.
I know that's actually what Andy was telling
But
me.
you should
too.
watch
Don't
Last
Temple of
Crusade.
Doom.
Actually, Last Crusade is much more lighthearted.
But they were
It is.
saying, anyway, after the end movie was done, I was just like, yeah, I am probably never going to watch this movie ever again. I knew I probably wouldn't like it, and I was 100% right. Not 1,000% though. So there's a win.
Is he not a cool hero, though?
He's a cool hero. He's a cool guy.
So you went into this with preconceived notions and biases, and then came out with those same preconceived notions and biases.
Yeah, because every single one of them got confirmed. So yeah,
This is so good.
the movie, yeah,
It's one of the greatest action movies of all time.
I gotta say,
And that's what you think.
That's what I know.
I think as time has gone on, this movie is more regarded as a classic, but I don't think it's as watched.
Real
I don't
quick.
think it's as appreciated.
Real quick, you know how the Raiders of the Lost Ark ride at Disneyland is only like the beginning of the movie? That's because that's the only good part of the movie.
Oh, jeez.
Like, that's
You mean the
why,
part that
that's why that
you were
ride,
picking bits.
That
Isn't
ride,
the ride part of? Isn't that have Temple of Doom stuff in there too?
It's a
Yeah.
unique story.
See, that ride has only the good parts of the movies, and that's why the movie sucks.
Yeah.
Because after he's on the plane.
By the way,
flying
what
back
movie
home,
were you
it's
watching where you're riding the Jeep and Indiana Jones is hanging out with you?
So then we moved into 80s comedy. We decided to throw a comedy on there, and we had so many different comedies we were trying to choose from. That was impossible, but we decided to go with Ghostbusters because it's in the public eye right now. Ghostbusters is one of those iconic things that didn't really... I mean, no one really knew what it was. It wasn't a thing before, but just now the visuals of the proton pack and the outfits and the car, it's
music.
all part of pop culture.
And just
Yeah,
a very
so-
80s cast that does a lot of slapstick. Some of it works, some of it doesn't. But what they did is they brought together perfect comedy with almost perfect horror. And so
Yes,
it makes
it's a great balance of the two.
Yes.
Synopsis: 3 former parapsychology professors set up shop as unique ghost removal service. So,
Matt, this is the movie that made every kid in the 80s want to be a Ghostbuster.
Right.
How did it make you feel?
Are you afraid of no ghosts?
Say, okay, well, I'm curious. Do you guys like Ghostbusters?
Very much.
Yes.
Very much. Okay, cool. It's good to know. So I want to say that the opening scene with like the books flying around, they made me panic. Like I was like, oh no! Like I was genuinely very scared. And then as soon as like the lady sees the ghost and it goes to the intro, I was like, that was the worst intro to a Law and Order episode ever. And so I thought that was cool. So I actually started off this whole journey with Ghostbusters because I have very fond memories of Ghostbusters as a kid. I actually had never seen the movie, but like the song Ghostbusters, like I just love the song, and I love being at skating rinks where like you would always sing it with your friends. I really wish I had never watched this movie because it tainted all of those memories. So so I told Kent a little bit about this. Every single societal issue that's happening right now, they can all be linked back to this movie. Like every single one. Even toxic masculinity, which like that's not a thing ever, but like toxic masculinity in this film. And I'm really not okay with it.
It's so toxic. Ray is so toxic.
Yeah.
Winston's so toxic.
It's the worst. Not to mention, Joel, I'm surprised you recommended this film considering there's an sexual scene with a ghost that also doesn't make any sense.
No, as a kid, I'll tell you what, I didn't pick up on that at all.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't pick up on it as a kid, but I'm watching this and I'm like, this is a children's film. Why is this in here?
It's not a children's film.
Oh my goodness.
It was a PG comedy for adults.
You watched this movie, which is brilliant, and judged Joel during the experience?
Slightly, yeah. Because I was like, Joel, you're the family-friendly guy. You're the one that I'm supposed to trust.
It's not my fault you didn't set the
something
filters.
you should know is in the 80s, and we were very naive as children. Sometimes you watch these things on TV, you don't really catch the swear words.
Well, no, of course.
But they throw in a lot of this where, as an adult, you say, wow, I watched this and I was comfortable with it, and my parents were.
I felt the exact same way because like I watched Shrek all the time as a little kid. And like,
a lot of adult.
Hold on. We're talking about Ghostbusters. You just I'm making waffles. Like, that's the reference you're going to make.
Also, I just want to say I was so offended when she referred to Venkman as a game show host. I was so offended personally. I was like, how dare she?
Why.
How dare she?
That's why he got out of the movie.
I know, I don't know where to start. There were so many issues I had with this film because like they just
let's start with the end. Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Is that a funny concept?
So honestly, that's
because it is.
No, that's the thing. It wasn't funny to me because I remembered the Marshmallow Man. It scared me as a kid. And so when I saw the marshmallows at the beginning of the film, before she opens the door to the bad place, when she sees the marshmallows, I started panicking because I was like, "Oh my goodness, that's the villain!" That's because I had very negative associations with that ghost, with the Marshmallow Man. And so then when it happens at the end, I was just like, okay, I don't know, like it was just. I thought it would be more scarier, and then he wasn't, and I was just very disappointed. This movie, honestly, it destroyed any positive association I had with Ghostbusters.
Interesting.
And like,
have you ever seen like the cartoon or anything?
No.
Okay.
Because like, here's one thing. When the movie starts, I was like, wait, weren't there 4 Ghostbusters? And there's 3 of them at the beginning, and then they just throw in a black guy, just to have a black guy.
You're giving it way too little credit.
Yeah.
Winston joins the team. Winston is different from these guys.
Even though he never received any training.
Matt,
on how to,
exactly how you said in Raiders of the Lost Ark, you liked that the 2 guys came in so they could explain
He's the anchor.
Winston came in. He's the anchor so that they could explain everything to him.
You're telling me that there is a ghost-busting unit that has become famous and only one person has applied to work with them?
No one's taking him seriously.
No one's taking them seriously. They're doing news
I think
reports.
you're giving 2020 politics into a 1984 movie.
No, that is 100% true. The movie didn't air. The movie did not age
like they didn't just include one black guy.
Also,
they wrote in Winston to be the anchor for the audience with these people that are
who has
really
some of the best lines of the whole
Which
movie.
You're also forgetting too that like the movie is like extremely sexist when they're talking to every single woman. They're like, oh, you saw this? Are you sure? Like, are you menstruating right now? I was like, why would they say that?
Because Egon is completely awkward around people.
No, they didn't establish that well at all.
He's totally awkward. The whole
They're
movie,
all
that's
awkward. They're all awkward. I will say
Bankman's
this.
the cocky one.
I will say this.
Spangler's the awkward
Bill
one.
Murray, and this is actually, if you listen to the Bacon Bit, we talk a little bit about Groundhog Day. Bill Murray is a phenomenal voice actor.
And Garfield? What are you talking about?
Bill Murray, he's a phenomenal voice actor. But
What
if you just
voice
watch
acting are
his
you
facial,
talking about?
no, like his voice in every single movie, like in this and in And then the other one that we talked about in the bacon bit. I believe him if I was closing my eyes. But when I see his face, he has absolutely no reaction. And he has no change. And if you actually watch this movie at the beginning when they first see the ghost, all of the shots while he's talking and terrified, they aren't showing his face. Why?
Well, look,
because he's not scared.
It is his
he literally
shtick. He is a very apathetic actor.
Which is only... Which
and
is,
you see this... actors have types, right? And that is definitely Bill Murray.
Which that's the thing. I didn't realize that was his type until after the movie. But that's the thing, like...
Well, no,
you wonder why there's a big conversation about why men can't show emotion, and that's because of Bill Murray was famous at the time. Because Bill Murray shows absolutely no emotion, and that was the role model.
That's
for
what
young
me.
men
I was
at the
going to
time.
show emotion as a kid, and I saw Bill Murray and went, no.
Yep, exactly.
No, I will not.
Bill Murray shows absolutely zero emotion and zero change. Not to mention he ends up getting the girl despite the fact they've only had 2 conversations, one of which
On
was
screen.
her kicking him out because she was a creep. And then they're kissing at the end of the movie. Like, this doesn't make any sense. There was no build-up for their character arc, unlike Adrian and Rocky, which there was a build-up throughout the entire film for their characters to, like, fall in love.
Sure, but you realize this. That's a drama. That's a drama, and it took the entire movie to tell the story. This is a comedy horror that they need to throw in character elements to establish this ensemble
And that's the
cast,
thing, it
right?
only perpetuated-
No,
it
you've
only
got to realize
perpetuated
there's a
negative
balance
stereotypes.
within
I'm not okay
movies,
with it.
and there
I'm
are
not
character
okay with
types.
it.
Yes, he can be a jerk. He can even be a sexist, but that's not the movie being sexist. That's one character being sexist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
don't
need
see
to
Ray-
realize that.
You don't see Ray doing that. You don't see Egon doing that. You don't see Winston doing that.
Right.
Yeah, because we saw each of them do something very bad throughout each film.
Did you
anyway.
relate to anyone, even Ray, in any
No,
way?
I related to Ray's me.
Or Tully.
basically.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Ray,
saying.
Ray literally
You
is
need to
me,
give some
but
character
then-
writing
but
some
then
credit
I was
here.
like, but then I was like, well, I don't know if I really want Ray to be me because he's the one that had the sexual scene. So like, they all did something awful in this movie. Like none of them were really redeemable characters.
Rick
like, none of
Moranis?
them.
Rick Moranis?
Who?
Louis Tully.
Oh, is he like the guy that makes out with the alien girl?
He's the one who gets possessed by the dog.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense because they make out and it's like, why?
The gatekeeper, she's the key master.
Exactly, and they make out. It's like, what on earth was the point of that? There was like no there's like
Modern
a
day
slight
love story,
tie-in.
okay?
It just,
This is the greatest love. Still better love story than Twilight.
Yeah, right?
I just honestly, I just well, not to mention they don't believe Sigourney Weaver at the beginning because they're like. Because she's like, oh no, I think something's happened to my house, and they're like, are you sure you're a woman? I'm not 100% sure.
That's
I
not
believe
what
you.
they
do not
said.
say that.
They don't
They
say
did
that,
not say
but
it.
they don't
Sure.
believe her, despite the fact they have been in the news.
I think you're
hunching
projecting. I think
ghosts.
you're projecting sexism.
Right.
There isn't sexism.
No, I am 100% projecting because it was there.
Wait, that's not.
Hold on, I got the
That's not
script
how
right
projecting
here.
works.
Do you want to know? No, literally. Okay, Baconsale sleepover. We will watch this and I will show you because it was. I cannot. Oh, honestly, here's the thing.
I'll put money down.
After this episode, like. You know, I said that I would never show Raiders of the Lost Ark to my children. After I am done recording this episode, or like speaking with you guys, I am never even going to like give Ghostbusters like attention because giving it attention is negative. It's putting negative things out into
Ghostbusters
the
is an
world.
amazing horror comedy.
It is
Go watch
one
it, everybody.
Of the
Baconsale
worst
approved.
movies
Baconsale
that I've
approved.
ever watched in my entire life.
One of my
Didn't age
favorite
well.
movies ever made. I love it so much. The
There you
80s
go.
were a heck of a time.
Oh man! Remember the whole thing about looking at things as a time capsule of the time?
Yeah,
Okay,
That's it.
moving on to the next one.
Next
people
one.
are awful.
Guys, I don't think this one will be as controversial. I think we can all take a little
I know,
break.
there's a lot of sexist dinosaurs in Jurassic Park.
See, I'm glad you think that.
Well, they are because they're all female.
That's true. All right, 1993's
They
Jurassic
do
Park.
only kill men, so.
A pragmatic paleontologist visiting
true.
an almost complete theme park is tasked with protecting a couple of kids after a power failure causes the park's cloned dinosaurs to run loose.
Now, Mats, I want to describe how, at least Joel and I thought, and probably Zach when he saw this at home much later, we were not even teenagers when we saw this movie in the theater. Were you a teenager?
Very possibly.
Okay. And it was
Yes, I
just
was.
one of these movies that it was every little boy's dream realized on the big screen, and the special effects were real.
You believed the dinosaurs were real.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it was just wish fulfillment and danger. This whole movie feels dangerous to me even now. Mm-hmm. Like the stakes feel
And
real.
this is our highest grossing of the list. This is $1.03 billion at the box office. So, Mats, you watched Jurassic Park for the first time.
Yeah.
What did you think?
The intro was really amazing, especially when the hunter's like, shoot her!
Yeah, shoot her.
I actually reference that in like almost every single other film, like in Jaws, shoot her! As they shoot her face. Like it was great. It's
a bit sexist.
And then after, thank you. But no, and then when the intro's over, I was just like, man, that was a really good intro for an episode of Law and Order.
You're basically calling every cold open an episode of Law and Order?
Yes, or like Psych, Monk, pick whichever one, you know.
Or these
CSI.
movies that came all before that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as we agree, we're all good. I was confused at first, actually, because I thought that Jurassic Park was about a family. And so watching it, and that's actually about this guy learning about like what a family is and like what family represents. And
Sounds like a good theme.
These random 2 kids. Yeah, it was a great theme. I actually really enjoyed this movie. My final opinion of the movie is that I liked it. I love the character building and the acting. And it was just phenomenal. I still hated watching people die. I don't like it. But it was really good.
What'd you think of seeing Nick Fury?
Samuel Jackson.
Samuel Jackson. He's the computer guy.
Hold on to your butts.
He died, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because his arm randomly appears on the girl. Yeah.
Randomly. It kind of does, actually.
Severed arm. We should clarify.
Yeah.
So I asked about Jaws. How did you feel the effects were in this one?
No, it was really good. Like,
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it was really
1993.
good. Yeah, it was really good. The effects were like, they were just phenomenal. And honestly, sorry, every time I think about this movie, all I think about is like, Lex, she just wanted to pet a dinosaur, and she got sneezed on, and her mouth was open, and like, it just grosses
that
me
part.
We all
out.
felt it. We get it.
That was
Grosses
terrible.
me out, and I'm just like, oh man. And it's actually funny, like the majority of my notes stop after the scene with him sleeping with the kids in the tree, because I was just so invested in the movie. It was
Like you see the
phenomenal film.
velociraptors at that point. It's just nonstop.
Yeah.
It was a phenomenal film.
I mean, that's pretty much all you need to say, because it
Yeah.
really is.
It
No,
really
it-
is.
yeah,
It's
it was.
just such a solid movie. This might honestly be my favorite on the list. Like, I love Jurassic Park so much.
Yeah.
Were there any moments where like you worried about the mortality of the characters? Like, actually thought a character would die?
Well, yeah.
Like when Tim gets electrocuted, or when Ellie's getting
pretty
chased,
much like
or...
every moment was like, oh man, they're gonna die.
Like the raptors
'Cause, like,
coming into the kitchen.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Because I've never seen a Jurassic Park movie, but the last death I saw of a Jurassic Park movie was when I started crying and I forced my parents to turn off the movie while my 6-year-old sibling was laughing at the scene.
Oh boy! wait, so you did see part of it?
I saw part of it from
Do you remember
a different
the scene?
film. It was the scene where it's like the most recent film where like the lady who's supposed to be watching the kids gets picked up by the pterodactyls.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
and then
Jurassic
dropped into
World.
the ocean and then like
Hold on.
presses
Oh
them
my
up and then,
gosh,
like,
that
the
part-
shark-
Well, it was an unnecessary
literally-
death. I mean,
No.
it was just this
Yeah, it was.
crazy.
That part preyed on like deep, like gut feeling of me. That part really got me.
powerlessness.
Well, it's the thing in the water bigger than me, and I knew it was coming, and my stomach just
Yeah.
dropped when she got dropped in the
Yeah,
water.
see, that's like that part. Like, I literally was just like, I started like, sorry, this might be too personal. I started just like crying and like getting a panic attack because I was like, I cannot believe in a world where a God would allow that to happen to their child, and I'm so happy I don't live in that world.
Okay.
And yeah, it was very.
I just want to ask
very
you more
dramatic.
about how you watch movies, and if you really, how often do you watch movies?
I don't watch movies like ever. My dad's a
Because-
very big film buff. Like he would
Right.
love Baconsale, but he just won't listen to it. He never has time.
All right. Well, we'll do a show for him, like a Western show or a war show.
But
We'll
yeah,
see.
no,
But no,
I-
like if you see enough deaths happen on screen, and I'm not saying be desensitized, but you do become desensitized,
Yeah.
and it sounds like you're not to that point.
No. So that's the thing. Because it's hard. I take each character so personally because I just like.
That's
I
probably what the
genuinely-
writers intend,
Yeah,
honestly,
exactly.
though.
And that's the thing because I love people and I love connecting with people. It's actually why
Even the lawyer on the toilet in Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. I literally wrote down like when he said we're going to make so much money, I was like, well, he's going to die because
Yeah.
he's being selfish, and they
Yeah.
want to kill off the selfish characters to
Right.
off a good plot point. But that's the thing. Like it's hard. It's hard for me to watch people die because I said I love people. I like to think I see people's like true intentions very well, and like seeing that he was just wanting to make money. Like because I like. As an example, Shazam, when that lady is like, this isn't real, and then touches the thing and then burns and like explodes.
Right.
Like that broke my heart because I still think about her and I'm like, man, but like her mom is never going to know what happened to her. Her friends, like her dog, what if she had a
Wow.
cat? And like I just start panicking. I think about that with every person that dies when I see a film where someone dies.
Yeah.
I'm just like, well, I like their family.
That's why you need to watch more movies. You see them pop up in other things. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, they're still alive.
You bring up an interesting point with Jurassic Park. I feel like there's mostly redeemable characters in the movie.
Agreed, Right. yeah.
I think it's collectively they're all facing this unstoppable thing that they don't know
Even
about.
John Hammond.
Yeah.
Some people.
Yeah, no, that one overweight guy.
some
He was
people-
like, I didn't like him, but I also didn't want him
Newman.
to die.
Nedry.
It still hurt
yeah.
to watch him die. Like I didn't.
Yeah. I was like I say, mostly. There's some movies where it's like nobody here is good, but I think for the most part, I think the characters in Jurassic Park down the line are pretty likable.
Yeah.
Especially Jeff Goldblum.
Is he the main? I don't know who he is. Is he the main?
Malcolm.
main
No,
guy?
he's the.
He wears
yeah.
black a lot.
He's the chaos theory guy.
Yeah.
The chaos theory. Oh, the chaos theory guy. I laughed when he said that. He doesn't die. He
He
almost
took off
died.
his shirt.
Yeah.
That's I have a Funko Pop of Jeff Goldblum's open shirt where he's like a little wounded and laying there.
I have no idea who Jeff Goldblum
It's so
is.
great.
Man, I just don't know actors. My dad's going to be so disappointed when he listens to this, if he does.
All right, Zach, what's our final movie? for
Finally.
It's the most recent one.
Most recent movie, which comes from 1999. It's The Matrix.
And here we have a computer hacker learns from mysterious rebels about the true nature of his reality and his role in the war against its controllers. Now, this is one Kent and I put on here because we both felt this was kind of one of those mind-bending movies.
And game changers for action films.
This became like the staple. Like, it was so copied and so parodied. Just the effects from this.
And one thing to know, Mats, is that the 90s, there was a lot of great action movies. There's your True Lies and things that spawned from the 80s, like big burly action stars. And there was cool stuff happening, but this one just changed everything and used special effects in a way that made it believable, even though it's still really fantastical.
Yeah.
And this one is, I think it's true science fiction. And I think it nails like characters, story, visuals, the sci-fi elements, which I think is very hard to pull off in a story. It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Don't say that. Don't open yourself to that.
I just did.
He'll
and I
attack
jinxed
you
it.
relentlessly and unprovoked.
And it's funny because as Keanu Reeves, which we all know, he's not the best actor, but he's kind of perfect in
I've
this
actually
movie.
never
great in
seen
this
Keanu
movie.
Reeves in any movie. This is the first movie I've ever seen.
Save for our Keanu Reeves show.
Yeah.
We will. That's
Do
fair.
one.
Okay,
Matt.
so
Please.
Let's talk The Matrix.
Okay.
How much of this did you know going into it?
I just knew it's like, it's the famous like blue red pill, black guy with the glasses.
Morpheus.
Yeah. And then, the famous like
Like
Bullet time.
bullet scene. Yeah, exactly. Like I knew it was famous for these specific things, but I was excited to finally see like.
So basically, you knew
how-
the memes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I was just excited to see like, okay, well, what really makes this movie so fascinating and awesome and all that. And
go on.
I don't even know where to start. I don't have anything negative to say like I did with Ghostbusters
Did you
or
talk
like Raiders of
negative
the
about
Lost
that
Ark.
one? Oh, yeah, you did. Yeah.
It was just such a. It was a pointless movie.
So you found it bland.
It doesn't accomplish anything, and it also doesn't explain anything either. Like it just says this is the world, accept it, and then there's
So did
no.
you find it as just a vehicle to show cool action scenes?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Like it just to like give this idea, like I don't know. It just made like no sense. Like nothing about it like really.
Which
made
developed
sense.
a complete philosophy, gave exposition, which was absolutely crucial, developed a world within a world, questioned reality.
Yeah.
You thought it was just pointless.
Well,
You
because it
think
doesn't
just-
accomplish anything. It's like, because that's the thing. It's like, it just starts off this movie by saying, like, you've been searching for us the whole time. And it's like, do you know what that question is? What is the Matrix? And it's like, what? Like, you're just thrown into it. Like, there's no, like, pre-explanation as to, like, this guy is searching for the Matrix. It's just like, you're searching for this. What is it? What is the Matrix? And I'm just like, okay, well, you're just throwing
He's
us
a
in
hacker
there.
who's heard about
It's
it a
not
bunch of times.
Yeah, but they didn't establish that that's something a big deal for hackers.
It's predestined.
And
He's
like,
the
why?
one.
And
He's
also
the chosen one.
And also,
he's been researched.
exactly. And also, why is it that only hackers know about the Matrix?
It's a computer thing.
Is it?
100%.
It was all simulation.
It's a simulation. It is software.
Like it doesn't make any sense. Like it doesn't make sense. Like why is it only like simulators are about it? Like why isn't like famous and rich people are like also knowing about this or like like the dinosaur
Maybe
people.
because they're content.
They
Like,
do.
I don't know. Maybe they do. I don't know. They didn't establish it.
It could be the rich and powerful know about it. They just don't want to tell anyone.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Elon Musk
My
knows
parents-
about the
Oh,
simulation.
I
Stop
shouldn't
the
say
signal.
that. Never mind. I'm so sorry. At the end, like when he's picking up Morpheus, like from the swing, right? He's like holding onto him by one arm. All I could think is, "Don't let me fall." Wouldn't dream of it. Anybody?
No? I got it.
It's just like a Jimmy Neutron thing.
SpongeBob thing? Or-
A little worse. No. The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava
There we
Girl.
go. I
Yeah.
was like, some.
It's
I thought it was
so
Spy
good.
Kids.
Yeah, it's so good. So good. Oh man.
So,
good.
I was going to ask, though, the visual effects, how did they hold up to you?
They were good.
Like bullet time when it's like things
No, they
slow
were good.
down?
When she freezes in the air at the beginning, I was like, "Oh my goodness, it's Princess Fiona!" Like what? I get that reference now.
Yes, you do.
So I was just like, "Oh wow, Fiona was referencing this," and so I was just like,
Shrek was basically made
know.
by this list. Yeah.
"Cool, that's cool."
Mats, I have to ask you, have you ever considered for 1 second, even just for fun, it's late at night, your mind is racing, what if I'm not in reality? What if reality is something different?
No, I've totally thought about that. Sometimes I'm just like, man, wouldn't it suck if you die?
But
and
wouldn't
you
it
just
be
see
cool?
the screen that says "Game Over, try again," and I'd be like,
but
"Oh
Matt,
man, that would be so."
Wouldn't it be
awful.
cool if that was put on celluloid, that idea, and shown in such a fantastic way, shows that there is a way to beat the system.
You're going too quick. I'm not intelligent. I don't know what. Can you define?
You are intelligent.
Can you define
I know
celluloid?
This. The film.
So he's
Just say film, dude. Film snob. You don't need to say celluloid. Just say film. Oh my goodness, we all know that you're the biggest film geek here. Just stop. Even though Joel's seen more movies on the AFI list than you have, that's fine. You're the actual film critic. Just say film. You don't need to say celluloid with other normal people. Like, oh my goodness.
It's all right. I use big words sometimes, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, can you go back now and explain that? Because you lost me at celluloid.
He's basically saying that is the concept of the Matrix. Your reality is not reality. There's a different reality out there. That's the whole concept of the Matrix.
The reason why film exists.
That's not new today, though. Like, that's very old and rehashed.
Time capsule.
Well, of course, yeah, exactly.
1999.
I know it's new in 1999, but that's what I'm saying is that it didn't make any sense from a 2020 perspective.
Okay, you're feeling like you've seen something like this before. It felt pointless. I mean, probably unnecessary.
Like another thing is like they don't ever explain like why when they come from the Matrix they're always wearing one color. Like why are they always wearing all black or all white? Like what reason for that? No, but they could choose any outfit to like fit in and like not grab attention, but you're gonna wear all black? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, stylistic choice.
Stylistic for what reason? What reason do you have to be stylistic if it's all simulation?
Cool. I cannot tell you, Matt, how much I wanted to have one of those big black jackets just to kind of walk around
and
that's
only because the movie made you want that. But
because it looks cool.
But if they were smart, they would have want to fit.
What outfit would you pick, Matt?
Do you think they would have done like it's the 90s? Hey, there's a Stussy shirt and some Gerbeau shorts.
He doesn't know. But Matt, if you could be in the Matrix, what outfit would you choose?
I would pick an outfit that wouldn't stand out.
But what would you choose?
Whatever would match with the era.
It's fair logic.
Literally, that's the only
Agent
thing
Smith is
I'm
like,
saying.
I'm looking for the one who doesn't know what celluloid means. Well, he's wearing just plain clothes. Yeah. I'll never find him.
T-shirt and jeans doesn't really scream the one to me.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's about fitting in and not grabbing attention to yourself.
But if you're the one, you don't care.
This is all about escalation. That's what films do. There's only a specified amount of time, maybe 2 hours, so they need to get to a point. It's not about the mystery of cat and mouse game this whole time. It's telling a different story.
I'm just saying that movies should treat their audience like they're intelligent, and this movie treated me like I was an idiot.
You should see Ken's face right now. This is the epitome of treating your people intelligent because they don't explain every little detail.
Yes, by not explaining every single detail, but then ignoring the very obvious part. Also, can I get an explanation for how somebody was able to be like a double crosser when they need to be put in by somebody else?
Cypher.
They don't watch him the whole time. They put him in, then walk away.
They put him in, but how on earth is he able to like set up a whole double crossing thing when he's being watched? Literally, he's literally being watched by other people
by
from
whom?
The exact same. The other
they have
people.
To watch the screen with the code.
It just
unless you're sitting there watching the security monitor the whole time.
They're watching the screen with the code, and even he's like, no. At this point, all I see is a redhead, a blonde, like.
And he's the one that goes in.
Yes, he's the one that goes in, but everybody else is still there. Like they can still.
But they're not monitoring.
But it doesn't.
I believe he actually says sometimes I come down
because
here
he goes
on my
in
own.
after hours. That's what he talks about.
He goes in after hours. Okay, then who put him in?
He puts himself in.
You can't put yourself in. That's already been established. Like, oh my goodness, you literally can't put yourself in because if you could, there wouldn't be any need for anyone to stay at the base.
What I'm saying is, he goes in, says, "Set me up. I'll be fine. Just come back in the morning."
Doesn't make any sense.
I just
also
I'll give you that plot hole. Saying maybe Dozer didn't set him up and say, "Cool, Dozer, I'm going to go eat a steak."
Yeah,
go take off.
Exactly. Like it doesn't make any sense.
I'll give you that maybe someone was watching the screen 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, when all they're doing is trying to survive on mush.
Cool. I'm glad that you agree with me. That's all that matters. This movie accomplished nothing. That's all I have to say.
Everything. Movies would not be the way they are without this movie.
I bet you're right, probably, but like
there's no probably
I didn't know
about
that in the
it.
famous shooting scene when he's dodging it, he gets hit. Like what? He gets hit? Why is that scene so famous? He got hit.
He's learning how to use his powers.
But it completely defeats the point.
Remember when he dies in the movie? How dumb is that? Oh, wait, he has to die and have redemption and to realize he's the chosen one.
Wait, does he die? Oh, he does die. Wait.
So by your logic, like he can't have any flaws. He needs to have flaws before he accepts his true destiny.
I'm just saying, like, it doesn't make sense to like idolize a scene that was like perfect.
He dodged.
If he gets shot.
He dodges 12 bullets, and you're mad because the 13th hit him.
Well, 13 is my lucky number, so yeah.
It's in his prime number.
Yes, exactly. It's not my top 5 prime number list, unfortunately. I do believe it's somewhere around like 12th or 13th. 13 is probably my 13th favorite prime number.
Gosh.
Just for
all right. We've gone around the mulberry bush a number of times.
Sorry, the point is, Matrix. Pointless movie. True good films should treat your audience like they're smart. Not just give them complex like things to understand.
This one made audiences smarter. Imagine that.
Tenet made audiences smarter.
I agree with that as well.
This movie,
There would not be
this movie did not make
Christopher
any sense.
Nolan without this movie.
Wow.
Whoa.
Did you just try to do a mic drop with your
I didn't want to spill my drink, but I was going to toss my Diet Mountain Dew.
You're really putting it all out there.
100%.
Ken. You're really putting it all
What's
out there.
accomplished in this movie is what Nolan has shadowed in many movies.
Wow.
Put it out there.
Wow. So, Matt, we've put you through the ringer. I shouldn't say put the ringer. We've blessed you with these 10 movies.
You're welcome.
And I wanted to know just real quick.
He put you through the ringer.
I mean, obviously, your top three or bottom three.
Okay, my bottom three.
I can probably guess.
We're just going to leave one out.
My third least favorite movie is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Second least favorite movie is Raiders of the Lost Ark, and my most least hated movie is Ghostbusters.
All right, and then your top three.
And honestly, that might be of considering I haven't seen many films. Also, the other day, my sister was watching My Little Pony the movie, and that drew me in. And I would rather watch My Little Pony the movie than all of those movies, just so that most of these
we
movies,
reviewed My Little Pony the movie.
Yeah, I know
right?
you did, and you guys were so right. It was really good. I was enjoying it. It made me emotional. I was crying at one part. At one part of the movie.
So awesome.
But yeah, okay. And then
Okay, your top.
my number 3 is Jurassic Park. My number 2 is Psycho, and my absolute favorite is Rocky.
Wow.
So good. Yeah.
I would not have guessed that.
I would have not guessed that at all.
I would have probably guessed that you might have thought Rocky was boring. So
No,
that's
I
great.
loved Rocky. I didn't really get to show all my love for it.
Are you going to Are you going to watch more Rockies then?
See, I feel like it's a lot like Pirates of the Caribbean, where they just
It's
get
not.
worse.
Less so.
No.
They get worse.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Part of me, I want to watch it just so I can know why.
Just
Kent's
know what
so
to expect.
Firmly stated with Rocky 4.
They're
being
just
so America.
entirely enjoyable with no brains to them. And that's what you need to
On
expect.
the fourth one. Third and fourth, you get a little more into that. But
Yeah.
even second's are still a good drama.
Yeah, it pivots in 3 and
Okay.
don't watch 5.
Oh, no,
All
crazy.
right. So thank you, Matt. Thank you for coming here on the show. Thank you for being part of this experiment. We enjoyed having you on here. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to here at the end?
Just want to say I love my parents, I love my grandma, and I love my friends, and I love you, Gabe. You're great.
Very good.
But before we go, we'd like to thank the I Am the Listener category. It's Terry Finley, Chris and Jessica Drought, Sean Sandquist, Scott Sprague, Kyler Loves Baconsale, Jennifer Kielkowski, Crew Dutler, Brendan Winterton, Babs, Alicia Bass, and Adrian Gray. And from the Bacon Council, we have Nicole D. Hale, Chris Anderson, Ryan Farron, Stephen Ross, Matt Smudro, thank you for being here with your half-correct opinions, Jessica Terry, Brian Madsen, and Reverse Listener.
All I heard Ken say was that my correct opinions. He said that.
But if you want to find me, you can find me at 76Joel on Twitter, or you can find me performing Quickwits. They're performing for free on Facebook on Saturday night at 9 o'clock. For more details, go to qwcomedy.com or go to the Quickwits Facebook page.
If you want to find me on Twitter or Instagram, it's at Kenny3DD. If you want to read my movie reviews, it's ShowtimeShowdown.com.
If you'd like to connect with me, you can do so on Instagram and Facebook at Tumbling Mustard. But more importantly, make sure you're following Baconsale on your social medias. Make sure to like the Facebook page as well as follow at Baconsale on Facebook and Instagram. And while you're doing that, go by tpublic.com/Baconsale and get yourself a t-shirt or a mug or a mask. And then if you like what's going on the show, you can go to patreon.com/Baconsale and give some support, which starts at just $3 a month, where this week we had a really fun bacon bit, including our friend Matt's. Again, that's patreon.com/Baconsale. Join in on the fun.
So until next time, we'll see you in celluloid.
I love the Italian job unashamedly.
What kind of taste do you have in men?
I only know it because 23 is my favorite prime number, and it just happened to be that.
Oh, wow.
What? You don't have a favorite prime number? Okay, well, you need to fix that.
Save it for a prime number show.
Yes, I'll give it all. Wait, can I just give my top 5 real quick? Okay, 23, 17, 19, 47,
These are numbers?
41.
They can throw their
Really?
voices. And they're in a cave where there's echoes.
know.
Batman in the Cave of Echoes.
Actually, that's a cool title.
Zach's flipping us all off. That's how amazing it is.
Jeez.
Zach, this is like the first time I've met you, dude.
Family
Like,
friendly.
Is it for Joel and I, or is it for Matt? We're not sure who you're flipping off.
Okay, I'll speak at a very high volume because that's what Ken asked me to
Okay,
do.
I'm
And
gonna
then
match your voice
that's
real
not,
quick.
That's not the high volume.
What's your...
Okay, Joel, how dare you just assume that I can't get any louder? It's not okay.
Yeah.
Zach's beefing up Desert,
Yeah, he
Desert
compliments
Star
me by being
pounding
like,
down
oh yeah,
divine
it's very
comedy.
low brow.
Same
You do
premise,
great
Zach.
there.
I hate Provo
Yeah,
so
that's
much.
a compliment. Yeah.
We're actually going to have a mom show with your 3 moms.
Oh,
so,
really? Oh, my
yeah.
goodness. Wait, you found her? And that really makes me want ice cream. But also, no.
Is
Really?
marrying Crane.
What?
Yeah.
That's insane. Wow.
This is your final moment. You don't think you want that moment to be longer?
I don't want it to be a full 4 minutes. I miss out. I have way too many friends, guys. It's an issue.
Why do you hang out with wrong friends and bad people?
Yeah. That's not nice. They might be 11.
I know there's a lot of sexist dinosaurs in Jurassic Park.
See, I'm glad you think that.
Is this like a Jimmy Neutron thing?
SpongeBob thing?
A little worse. No, you mentioned Little Shark Boy.
There we go.
Yeah. You're the actual film critic. Just say film. You don't need to say celluloid with other normal people. I like to think I'm pretty patient. I know I'm not, but I like to think I am. Die! And then he didn't die! And I
Family
just,
friendly.
You killed Joel. You killed Joel. Say for it. Say for it.
This is-
whatever that is.
This is also
Captures me?
No, this is a children's film. Why is this
It's
in
not a
here?
children's
No,
film.
I am 100% projecting because it was there.
Wait, that's not.
Hold on, I've got the
That's not
script
how
right
projecting
here.
works.
Oh yeah, why did it have to go in his belly button? Just so gross.
I never knew I could get anxiety, and now I do.
Yeah.